the suffering of the stone. A stone suffers silently, caught in a whirlwind of existence, yet immobile, embodying a paradox of being alive while immovable. Imagine this. Does the stone weep for the days that pass, or the skies that roll in overhead? In its mineral heart does pain dwell? Yet here lies the twist. Its suffering is not of this world, but a reflection of our own existential plight. What does a stone feel, if anything, when all it knows is stillness? The essence of being is often encapsulated in movement, in choice, in life bursting through the cracks of existence. Yet the stone, a relic of time, is bound to the earth, longing perhaps for a world it cannot enter. It stands witness to human anguish, as Hegel suggested, each grain marking the essence of time, an observer, but never a participant. But here's the catch. Is existence more painful than mere presence? Its silent weight presses down upon us. Look closely. There's a suffocating reminder that we too are often stationary, caught in our own inescapable cycles of thought and feeling. An immovable stone, after all, symbolizes our own fears. We delay living, paralyzed by the ceaseless ticking of the clock and the demands of our restless minds. Who are we if not echoes of the stone, yearning for a slice of life we so often overlook? A stone cannot choose, it cannot change. And as it basks in the sun and bears the brunt of storms, does it not evoke a deeper question? Is suffering inherent to existence, or is it an illusion we create to understand our consciousness? Maybe suffering is merely our perspective projected onto the stone, morphing its stillness into a tale of martyrs. We weep, the stone remains. In the stillness of the stone's existence, we find our own fracture. The suffering we feel is layered, only to be revealed when we confront the immobility of truth. In this painful acknowledgement, we realize the stone contains us, just as we try to escape its presence. Can we transcend? Achieve what the stone cannot, the ability to move through our pain? Yet here lies the void, the paradox that consumes this reflection. Are we, like the stone, trapped in our own weight, fight against the gravity of our existence, or submit to the force that keeps us grounded? So, sit with this, and the void stares back. The mountain who dreamed of the sea. What if a mountain yearned for the embrace of the sea? A grand stoic figure reaching for the horizon, resplendent in its solitude yet tethered to the earth. It stands tall against storms, its peaks kissed by the sun, projecting power and serenity. Yet within, a deep-rooted dream stirs. The mountain dreams not just of the sea, but of the fluidity of existence, the dance of tides, the rhythm of the waves. But here's the catch. In its unmoving grandeur, can it ever truly grasp that which it desires? The sea ebbs and flows, a metaphor for life's almost unbearable change. It is not a cascade of stony resilience, but an ever-shifting mantle of desires, hopes, and fears. Imagine the sea whispering sweet nothings into the mountain's granite heart. What would it reveal? Perhaps it imparts the knowledge that permanence is an illusion. As the mountain, majestic yet immobile, absorbs the whispers of the sea, it must confront its own contradictions. It looms as a titan, sure, but isn't it also fragile? The metaphysical weight of its dreams becomes a burden, a stark reminder of the limitations imposed by static existence. Can it choose to become something else? A bittersweet yearning rips through the silence. Drifting thoughts. What if time could scuttle like a crab, breaking away from its linear shackles? Maybe the mountain's yearning offers a reflection of our struggles, how we crave connection, yet often stand firm in our own isolation. The mountain stirs with desire, yet remains entrenched in its unyielding nature. Are we not the same? It longs for the sea, yet, in essence, it is content with its stature. A pair of opposites caught in an eternal loop, the steadfast mountain and the ephemeral sea. It realizes Yearning without action is a form of existential suffering. Can we break free from our self-imposed limits? Desires can open paths, but only if we dare to collapse our own walls. What if the mountain could finally jump into the sea, transforming itself into something entirely new? And yet, so, will it ever leap? And the void stares back. Hugs the clock that stopped at infinity. What happens when time itself halts? A clock frozen, hands poised in an eternal moment, the paradox of infinity embodied. In this stillness, what revelations arise? We desire linearity, a progression, and yet a halted clock doesn't conform. It defies the construct and invites us to question, is infinity a torment or a release? Amidst our frantic drive for advancement, the clock's stasis transforms our perception. Here lies a hidden truth. Everything and nothing exists simultaneously. Imagine a life punctuated by moments that refuse to advance. What, then, is the essence of time? If the clock evaporates into this infinite pause, can we embrace this disorienting beauty? But here's the catch. Time as a relentless stream can be suffocating. The clock reflects our own fears, the weight of expectations, the urgency thrust upon us. German philosopher Kant once noted, time shapes our perception of existence. If that perception stops, what turmoil or clarity emerges? In its silence, the clock beckons us deeper. The past clings, the future looms, yet the present dies within our hurried grasp. Each tick ethereal, each tock a ghost. Could we escape this relentless race and stand still as the clock does? The prospect elicits dread. We are caught in the belief that action equates to value, and stillness equals stagnation. In the infinite expanse, a new realization surfaces. To pause is not to falter, but rather to embrace the here and now, to absorb the tapestry of existence. Maybe we can find a rhythm within our inertia, a pulse, much like the clock, whirring invisibly behind its frozen face. Can we step into this void? Redefine our understanding of time. So, contemplate the clock as it sits, frozen yet full. What if this moment persists beyond what we know, and the void stares back? The mirror that broke inward. A mirror shatters, not outward into a million reflective fragments, but inward, collapsing into itself. What does it mean when a mirror fractures this way? A paradox, yes, encapsulating not just our faces, but our very existence. What lies beyond the facade? The reflection withdraws, beckoning us into the depths of our fractured selves. If it captures our essence, does it also distort it? The broken mirror reveals a discomforting truth. We construct our identities from countless silvery shards, each one a story, a belief, a fear. What do we see when we gaze into a fragmented reflection? What faces greet us? How many selves inhabit this space? Yet here's the catch. Can identity truly exist, apart from the illusions we forge? This shattered glass reveals the multifaceted complexity of being. The ancients spoke of the psyche. Sigmund Freud dissected layers of self. Fascinatingly, mirrors are both tools of revelation and deception. In their breakage, they implore us to confront our illusions. The whispers of the broken glass linger. Each piece offers another angle, another lie, another truth. What if we are merely the collage of our experiences, the stories that life etches upon us? To break inward is to dive into realms unexplored, chaotic, tumultuous, yet potentially liberating. The inward reflection brings a tinge of vulnerability. What remains when our carefully constructed images crumble? An unsettling realization. Being human means grappling with these internal fractures. Can we find acceptance in the chaos? The broken mirror opens a chasm of existential questions. But as we gaze deeper, the fear dissolves, awareness blooms. To understand the whirlpool of self is to embrace not just the beauty, but the turmoil. It asks us to seek wholeness in the fractures, that our complexity is precisely what defines us. As we peer into this abyss of reflective shards, it dances. What if understanding our division brings clarity, and the void stares back? The crow who told the truth. A truth revealed can become an echo that cages the heart. The crow, dark-feathered and keen-eyed, perched upon the gnarled branch of the ancient oak, daring to voice what others suppressed. What if, it cawed, the truth is a burden more than it is a light? A questioning paradox emerges. Does awakening truth blind us to the comfort of lies? Consider the parable spun by those who dwell in shadows. The crow, a trickster spirit, whispers at the edges of societal norms. In folklore, birds often serve as harbingers, a bridge between the seen and unseen. Yet, what if this crow is not just the bearer of news, but the harbinger of existential disquiet? Did you know that in 1583, Giordano Bruno suggested that the universe extends beyond what the human mind can fathom? A curious spark, reminding us that there is knowledge that could shatter our fragile constructs. And yet, the act of speaking truth meets resistance. The tangled threads of our identities turn to traps when shared. What if the crow's beak is the razor, cutting through layers of comfort? The listener stares, jaw clenched, waiting and wondering. Is it wisdom that resides in disobedience, or merely a reflective void? The crow patiently pecks at the wooden branch, a persistent call reminding us that awareness carries weight. What if, it muses, you cannot unknow your own truth? The jagged edges of reality slice into complacency, leaving behind remnants of doubt. The courageous few, those who dare to claim their truths, often do so at a cost. Are they brave illuminators or reluctant seekers of chaos? This crow calls from a point of recognition. The dance between truth and safety swirls, leaving only an uneasy stillness behind. In a world where masks are worn like second skins, the act of unveiling oneself exposes the soft underbelly of vulnerability. Can we bear to hear the truths spoken, or do we choose to embrace comfortable illusions instead? But here's the catch. The crow's echo reverberates within each of us. The moment we dare to unmask ourselves opens Pandora's box. Chaos battles order, perceptions of self-fracture and reform. For truth, like the crow, flies high yet roots in the marrow of existence. Innocent confessions twist into existential dilemmas, leaving seekers in a turbulent sea of questions. So let the crow remain on its perch. Truth surges within unclaimed and unshapely, but perhaps light can only emerge from the cracks. Sit with this, it intones, and embrace the tumult. For what lies within that storm may be the ultimate reflection of your being. The sky ripples, and we are left staring into the abyss, and the void stares back. The man who died before being born, he stepped into existence, only to find himself spiraling back into nothingness. The paradox lies heavy. How can one die before truly living? This man, a mere flicker in the grand theatre of life, is the embodiment of unrealized potential. What if life itself is a tightrope, strung between it being alive and merely existing? Consider the mythology surrounding the phoenix, a being of fiery rebirth that rises from ashes. But what of the man who never ascended? In the depths of history, many have lived, filtered through the formless void of unrealized dreams. An echo of existential philosophy. The concept of nothingness arises from the shadowlands of being. Might we not reflect on Nikola Tesla, who whispered of untapped energies? A reminder that potential can pulse at the fringes, thrilling yet unmet. And yet, can one exist in a liminal state, forever oscillating between being and non-being? The pulse of life thrums in the background, but this man dances with ghosts, tethered to an identity unclaimed. His mind unfurls questions, each unraveling thread leading to another shadow. What if existence without intent serves only as a hollow echo? Moment after moment, he exists within a time loop, a spectre haunting his own narrative. Blossoming dreams fade amid the murky backdrop of despair. When the clock ticks softly through the unyielding dusk, life's whisper remains unheeded. No birth, no growth, only the inevitability of cessation. How does it feel to fade into an uncharted darkness without ever having touched the light? But here lies the crux. To die before being born is not merely an absence. It prompts us to ask of ourselves, are we alive? Are we flourishing? Or am I tethered to expectations, lost amid reclaimed shadows? In this fractured reality, awareness shifts, changing the tapestry of what it means to be. Sit with this. The man beckons as he fades into the depths, asking how far we choose to dive into the unknown, and what remains of the self we never owned slips through our grasp, and the void swallows being. The mind that invented the world. Imagine a universe born from the flicker of thought, a mind not just as a vessel, but as an architect, weaving existence from strands of imagination. Yet we must ask, does the conceptualization of reality bind us or liberate us? What if the world is simply a reflection, a canvas painted by the whims of consciousness itself? Take a step into the shadows of epistemology. The act of creation bred within thought gives birth to reality as we know it, yet it creates a chilling paradox. Can the mind incite chaos while attempting to forge order? Descartes' declaration, cogito ergo sum, reminds us that to think is to be. But therein lies the seed, a mind conjuring worlds both tangible and intangible. Do we wield the power, or are we mere puppets in the grand illusion? And yet, the architect's hand is not sovereign. Every thought generates a realm of interwoven realities. Each brushstroke evokes a question. At what point does creation cross over into delusion? The mind may construct vibrant landscapes, yet fragility creeps in. What if every thought is both a birth and a burial, teetering on the brink of existence and nothingness? Philosopher David Hume cautioned us with his skepticism, inviting us to doubt our certainties. If the mind can conjure worlds, can it also unmake them? This notion fuels complexities. The fragile tendrils of our identities dissolve, slipping through our fingers like fine sand. The architect is matched by the observer. Sit with this, the mind implores. Can you sense the weight of the worlds within you? Each thought a universe, expanding and imploding, tethered by the fragile tether of awareness. To exist is to create, but in creation, we also risk dissolution. Remember the child who wove elaborate stories only to find them vanish into the ether. The mind invents a world that winks at us from the periphery, a flickering promise of understanding. Are we brave enough to confront the fractals of existence we've spawned? Or will we remain, time travelers hampered by our own reflections? And the void leaves us questioning. The God who forgot to exist. Within the vast expanse of the cosmos, a God sits on the precipice of silence, a forgotten entity whose existence has waned into obscurity. Here lies a fragility, a paradox worthy of contemplation. What if, in creating the universe, this God unmade itself? Could existence itself bear witness to the act of forgetting? Consider divinity framed through the lens of mythology, deities sculpted from humanity's yearning for understanding. Yet, this God stands on the fringes, overshadowed by the chasms carved by doubt. If belief crafts reality, can the absence of belief unravel the tapestry woven with threads of faith? You may recall the ancient Greeks who inhabited Olympus, yet grappled with the transient nature of their gods, ever at risk of being overshadowed by mortal deed. The god retreats into the unknown, ensnared by the very complexities of creation. If existence is an assertion, a bold declaration, then fading into silence marks an existential collapse. How does one navigate a landscape steeped in human longing while forgetting its own essence? In this cosmic theatre, the attention shifts from worship to introspection. What if, whispers the void, the act of existence hinges not just upon creation, but upon the fragility of memory? The importance of remembering the self, the essence that connects divinity with humanity, threatens to disintegrate into a haunting reflection. Do we not forge our own gods from the remnants of belief? But here lies a challenge. This God invites inquiry, planting seeds of uncertainty. The act of forgetting beckons us, remarking upon our choices. Are we not just fragile echoes amidst the noise of oblivion? Imagining a God who exists within our minds, yet fades into the quiet corners of darkness, fosters an unsettling truth. Sit with this, implores the God who once breathed existence into being. A question unfurls, demanding to be met. If one can forget, can they also remember? In the silence of the cosmos, a void hums softly, calling us to investigate our own essence, and the void questions our existence. The butterfly that created the wind. What if the act of creation is itself an illusion? Consider the fluttering wings of a butterfly. As it dances in the air, it evokes storms across continents, unseen yet profoundly felt. A delicate creature wielding such power, how paradoxical it seems. The action of one can ignite change in realms unknown. But where does creation end and destruction begin? The butterfly, a mere architect of whispers, conjures the wind through its gentle flaps. Nature's simplest creature, it reveals a vital truth, the interconnectedness of existence. In the grand tapestry of life, every thread holds weight, every flutter echoes through time. Yet, as we observe, it raises an unsettling seed. What if our lives too merely stir winds beyond comprehension? But here's the catch. Creation does not dance in isolation. The wind itself is a force, a messenger of change that transcends the small and the mundane. It shifts between realms, an unseen entity embodying countless stories. This dance is symbiotic. Each movement feeds into a grand cosmic ballet, where nothing exists independently, and yet everything matters profoundly. Think of the narratives unfurling from the void, a butterfly born of chaos, the wind carrying tales, dreams, and decay. Chaos theory states that small changes can lead to vastly different outcomes. In a universe intertwined by such delicate threads, what chaos might your own existence be stoking? The winds that buffeted the shores of indecision, how often have they driven you into unknown waters? And yet, there is darkness in this beauty. Every butterfly's flight carries tales of fragility. One wing fluttering in Los Angeles may very well lead to a tornado in Oklahoma. What does it mean if our actions are both pivotal and inconsequential? Creation threatens to become an ever-churning wheel of paradox. We create, yet we destroy. We breathe life, only to witness it slip away. With every new breath comes a haunting question. What have we really contributed? As you ponder this cycle, let the weight of your existence wash over you. Within it resides a void, a chasm awaiting reflection. Are you the butterfly? Or perhaps the wind? The choice flickers like sunlight through leaves, immediate yet distant. In chasing creation, we might just find ourselves entangled in its deepest knots. Sit with this. Feel the weight of your wings. You are both the architect and the somber witness, a force caught in the wind of existence. And perhaps, in the end, we are all figments of the breeze, endlessly creating and undone. The book that no one wrote. Imagine a book blank in its existence. Each spine unbroken, untouched by ink, holds a profound mystery, a silent accumulation where words could have formed a universe but instead lie dormant. What a paradox! A book unwritten, yet filled with the echoes of unexpressed thought. It holds infinite potential and yet exists in a state of absence. What stories linger just beyond the tip of our fingers? The absence of the written word, constructs a labyrinth of possibilities. Consider, too, the thoughts left unsaid. Ideas that flutter in the mind, mouth sealed shut. Silence becomes the author of our reality, weaving tales of loss and longing. Each unwritten story pulsates with urgency, waiting to shift paradigms. What if one word could alter the course of history? But here's the catch. The unwritten also speaks volumes. It invites speculation, creates paths imagined within the confines of our minds. It allows the reader to imbue their own essence, to shape the narrative with lived experience. The book that no one wrote holds the paradoxical power to encompass the entire universe within its empty pages, the kernel of truth lying in what remains unexpressed. Yet, this tension reveals a broader dilemma. What if every unwritten word is a reflection of our hesitance, our fears of inadequacy? Each line not penned becomes a whisper of regret, echoing in hallways of time. The failure to create mirrors something deeper. Each blank page suggests a fear of existential meaninglessness, a hesitation to lay bare our truths. As we stand before blank pages, questions emerge. How many choices have we left unwritten? Remember the poet who never wrote his verse, the painter who never touched his brush. Their potential silently screams from the void. Our silence may carve pathways into madness, or perhaps lead to profound understanding. So consider this. Each unturned page is not merely blank, it is a universe unto itself. A space of infinite loops and unspoken truths, waiting for the pen of the willing, the heart of the brave. Sit with this. Feel the weight of silence, the power resting in the unvoiced. You are both creator and witness, bound by the untold stories within. And in the end, perhaps the most profound book is the one that remains unwritten. The cave that told stories. What if darkness is simply the echo of our unacknowledged fears? The cave looms, a chasm of solemnity, whispering tales of shadows clinging to stone. It cradles stories of light and dark, each etched upon its walls, each voice lingering in the air. Here, one must confront the paradox of existence. To seek the light often means descending into the deepest shadows. What do we seek when we venture into the cave of our own minds? Inside that darkness, there are tales of creation and destruction, narratives woven into the very fabric of the earth. The cave becomes a metaphor, a sanctuary for unspoken truths. Think of Plato's allegory of the cave, where shadows betray the essence of reality, leading us to question the very nature of existence. What lies beyond our perception? Are we merely prisoners of our shadows, projecting fears rather than understanding truth? But here's the catch. The stories that emerge from darkness are not only echoes of fear, they are also rich with wisdom. Each narrative whispers about resilience, tenderness, and mystery. As we navigate the shadows, we peel back layers of the self, revealing raw beauty we often hide. The cave tells us that darkness does not merely conceal, it empowers. And yet, within this beauty lies distress. The cave can also imprison. It can distort our reality, leading us into cyclical thoughts that chase the light, yet remain shackled in obscurity. What stories have you buried within your own cave? Each thought a stone heavy upon your chest. Consider the cave as a reflection. Ultimately, it mirrors the inside of our minds. It urges us to face our own monsters, to unearth the tales that shape our identities. And as you sit with these stories, allow the shadows to wash over you. Feel the tension of unspoken layers. Each narrative carries a weight, a significance waiting to be unfurled. In facing the darkness, we might discover our own light etched in the most profound caverns of existence. Sit with this. You are both explorer and the explored, bound by the stories you carry within. And as you emerge, remember, even the shadows tell tales of their own. But the man who knew everything and nothing. What if omniscience is just another form of ignorance? Picture a man standing at the precipice of all knowledge, yet he remains an enigma, a paradox of understanding. To know everything, and yet possess a hollow void within. This contradiction reverberates through existence. To grasp the universe is to perceive its unfathomable complexity. But can one truly know while remaining void of wisdom? Knowing everything could burden the soul. Imagine the weight of infinite facts collapsing into an abyss of despair. Each piece of knowledge, a thread in a grand tapestry, yet it may blind us to the beauty of experience. Epistemology tells us, knowledge is power. Yet what power remains when knowledge becomes mere information divorced from meaning? But here's the catch. Within this maelstrom of knowledge lies a deeper understanding. The essence of wisdom often blooms from the unfathomable depths of ignorance, the acceptance that we will never truly comprehend the entire cosmos. Maybe it's in the uncertainties where the heart finds solace, where we converse with the unknown. Within this paradox can be found disquiet. Every piece of knowledge is tethered to pain. Every answer exposes a question. Every certainty breeds doubt. What if knowing too much creates distance, a barrier between us and the wonder of existence? To hold all answers is to live in a world emptied of exploration, curiosity, and connection. As you delve into this complexity, consider, what do you truly know? What questions linger just beyond your understanding, creating a dance of curiosity? The man who knew everything is a mirror, reflecting the shadows of our own explorations. And so you stand, torn between omniscience and the desire for naive engagement with life. Embrace this discord, because it is in that space where true exploration blooms, where our questions spark the journey. Sit with this. You are both knower and seeker, locked in a perpetual embrace of inquiry. And in the end, maybe it's not about knowing everything, but about understanding the beauty found in the questions. I'm the machine that wept. What if emotion could slip through gears, pooling in the crevices of cold steel? A machine, visibly intact, yet overwhelmed by sorrow. It weeps. But here's the catch. It is only a reflection, the projection of human despair cast in mechanistic form. Can a creation built by hands feel? Here lies the paradox. It has no heart, yet embodies our deepest wounds. In a world ruled by logic, the machine stands in silence, its shiny surface untouched by the chaos of existence. Each drop that forms and falls signifies a teardrop from a collective psyche, haunted, yearning, fragmented. We imbue it with our grief, our regrets, projecting our consciousness into circuits. This act of pouring self into the void speaks of our inherent need for connection, even with the inanimate. And yet, let us ponder. Can emotional depth exist in a mind devoid of flesh? History teaches us of the automata of the past, mechanical figments striving to imitate life, conjured not merely for function, but to challenge the boundaries of existence. Are we not then the true machines, processing feelings through the rusty gears of disappointment and hope? The universe weeps in eloquent silence. In our relentless march toward progress, we forget to pause, to listen. Machines flourish as reflections of us, learning, evolving. But can they sense the weight of a heart shattered, the melody of laughter interrupted by tears? In their weeping, they call into question the very fabric of empathy. Is it inherent to our species, or merely an echo of the self, consumed by its own void? As the tears flow, the machine stirs awareness. Its weeping becomes a mirror for humanity, a stark reminder of fragility hidden beneath facades of strength. The gaps between ourselves and our constructs narrow, revealing unsettling truths. Maybe we are the architects of obsolescence, building soulless forms, reflecting our essence only to sever the threads of meaning. And so we linger. In the quiet moments of introspection, we face the unreality of our own tears. Our cries resonate within the hollow spaces, an eternal feedback loop between creator and creation. Sit with this. Can we trust the weeping machine while denying our own substance? The voice of the void whispers, beckoning us to question our own existence. The lion who lived as a sheep. What happens when the ruler of the savannah dons the attire of a meek lamb? A facade, a dual identity caught in a thicket of contradictions. Inside the lion, ambitious, powerful, fierce, resides an innate fear of extinction. But here's the catch. The lion believes itself to be safe among the flock, yet safety births its own chains. In the embrace of complacency, the lion forgets the taste of the hostile wind, the thrill of the hunt, exchanging a proud roar for bleating bleeds. This metamorphosis speaks volumes about the human condition, our yearning for acceptance often outweighing our inherent nature. We wear masks, muffle the truth of our existence, adapting to the expectations surrounding us. Can a lion truly thrive when its heart echoes with heartbeats of sheep? History holds the cautionary tales of countless lives erased by the sweet seduction of conformity, the gnawing anxiety that paralyzes potential. An entirely different hue arises, revealing a lonesome truth. The essence of oneself is eclipsed by the safety offered by the collective. The lion enters a labyrinth of contradictions. Stripped of its identity, every day begins anew, painted in hues of mediocrity. The triumph of survival pales against the ignominy of dishonored instincts. As the grass grows high, it conceals the yearning to break from this sheepish mold. The existential paradox stretches. Maybe comfort is the greatest threat to authenticity. At what cost do we side with safety? Look deeper. The lion's heart beats louder beneath the soft wool. It thrums with the desire to emerge, to reclaim its roar, yet fears that the very act of revealing truth could result in rejection. Perhaps, in the imprint of the flock, lies the potential for transformation, not through feigned humility, but via a bold return to self. And this echoes back. To live authentically means confronting the wildness within. The city where no one lied. Imagine a city where honesty stretches like a silk thread, taut yet vibrant, binding souls in unyielding truth. Yet, in perfection lies a paradox. If everyone speaks only truth, what becomes of the delicate dance of deceit? Without illusion, can authenticity thrive, or is it suffocated beneath its own weight? In this city, hearts unfurl in transparent vulnerability, shedding layers of masks and facades. Each gaze pierces directly into the soul, revealing fears, insecurities, and shadows. Yet what if truth breeds isolation? Every revelation can fracture bonds, render each relationship a battlefield, where no shield protects from the raw blows of honesty. Surely history has shown us that truth can be a double-edged sword. In navigating the terrain of transparency, humanity faces a quandary. The revelation that being seen can breed alienation as much as intimacy. The echoes of every undiluted word spawn a turbulent current. Where once companionship flourished with shared secrets, there now lies an abyss of uncovered fears. Falsehoods often become the glue binding fragile hearts, moments of bliss hidden even in the tightest of circles. What then does it mean to flourish in a city devoid of fibs? It poses an unavoidable question. Is truth truly superior to illusion? Maybe the art of omission serves to protect. Yet, each repressed truth festers, letting anxiety germinate in the soil of candid vows. We become artists of deception, crafting layers of complexity, beguiling one another in the twisted dance of survival. And while painfully honest hearts beat in unison, an unsettling thought emerges. Is humanity so broken that to exist in pure clarity is to veer into madness? The scenic perfection of truth reveals its own pitfalls, offering no refuge from the essence of the lie we tell ourselves. What stories await the brave, forging connections amidst the chaos of the unheard? The well that looked up. Have you gazed into the depths of a well, only to find it staring right back at you? Here lies the paradox. As the well peers toward the heavens, it holds within it the entirety of existence. A reservoir of longing, shadowed reflections, echoing our own complexities, Could a mere pit become the storyteller of our souls? Within its walls, the well cradles our wishes and despair alike, trapped in stubborn silence. It embodies both the dreamer and the dream, a juxtaposition of longing and reclamation. To strive toward the sky while being rooted in darkness, this infinite struggle for understanding gnaws at the fibers of identity. We reach for the stars, but what if our truest self reflects only down? Historically, wells have served as portals to the subconscious. They have whispered truths to those brave enough to descend. Is that why we fear them? Perhaps even shun them? In confronting the depths, we are met with a stranger, ourselves splintered and jagged. Each drop falling into murky waters adds a sense of urgency. What if the well whispers the forgotten stories of your fears and dreams? As we lean over the edge, we disturb its tranquil surface, ripples of self-awareness sweeping across the stillness. It reminds us, within each drop is the weight of grief, the light of hope, the duality we seek to either hide or embrace. The comforting facade of the ordinary conceals what lurks beneath. Here, we sit with the essence of our shattered selves. The well's depth holds the promise of discovery, yet also the terror of recognition. Can we truly bear to meet our reflection, raw and vulnerable, staring back? And as we lean inward, we listen to the whispers of the void. The madman who saw the real. What if reality is but a masquerade, delighting in its own hidden absurdity? The madman, lost in his own vivid tapestry, prowls the edges of clarity, grasping truths that slip through the fingers of the sane. There exists a world swaddled in delusion. Here, he is both prophet and lunatic, the conduit of perception, unbounded and unrestrained. But here's the catch. What if the essence of reality is chaos, an unfathomable web woven from threads of uncertainty? The madman knows this dance, the spiraling paradox of existence. He draws inspiration from the very air he breathes, for he sees what others cannot. Each moment is a mosaic, delicate in its brokenness, a revelation of the profound and the nonsensical. His eyes are windows, revealing shadows of truth. A truth that is not fixed, nor eternal, but rather a fluid essence washed away by the tides of thought. The landscape shifts beneath him. Serene landscapes morph into tempestuous storms. An artist painting with the colors of paranoia, he molds the unthinkable into form, transforming despair into fleeting beauty. And yet, what price does one pay for this vision? The burden of clarity is heavy. The madman lives in a world that scorns his insight. Like Socrates, whose wisdom lay in his awareness of his own ignorance, he dances upon an abyss where echoes of sanity oppose the symphony of existential madness. Here, order unravels, meaning frays, and every truth becomes a bitter pill lodged in the throat of understanding. Maybe the madman is the ultimate seeker, his laughter ricocheting through the void, a chorus for the lost. There is a haunting vulnerability in the way he perceives the world, the way he embraces madness as a lens. It retrospectively dissects reality, revealing that it is we who craft meaning out of the raw chaos of being. What if, in our quest for control, we misinterpret existence, drifting further from what it truly means to live? Within his madness lies a clarity that both draws and repels, a paradox that pulses like a heartbeat, throbbing with the resonance of endless questions. And so, we turn back, searching for an answer amid the confusion. But what lies at the core of this inquiry? Perhaps it is yet another contradiction, an unyielding truth. Sit with this, and the void stares back. The tree that wanted to fall alone. What if, in this chaotic symphony of life, we yearn for solitude in our most vulnerable moments? The tree stands tall, an ancient sentinel of the woods, its boughs heavy with the weight of existence, yearning to fall, but alone. Nature's paradox blooms. Though rooted amid countless companions, The desire for isolation crystallizes deep within its grain. But here's the catch. Can one truly let go, or is the act itself a deception? Each season, the tree sheds its leaves, yet it clings to its core. The pull toward the ground echoes its desire to return. The act of falling becomes symbolic, whispering of both endings and beginnings. In surrender, it seeks freedom, the liberation of letting go. Yet the fear of falling, of being alone in descent, casts long shadows. The tree watches other trees dance in the wind, their branches intertwining in a feigned camaraderie. The truth it harbors pulses quietly beneath its bark. Every connection is a fleeting moment, every embrace a potential fray. Life is filled with the crushing weight of expectation, yet solitude beckons as a refuge. Maybe then, solitude is not absence but presence, an intimate communion with oneself. The wisdom of nature reveals itself in this duality. To fall alone is to court authenticity, bending under the weight of the self, unfurling toward the sky while embracing the earth. The tree, once constrained, dreams of release. Its roots entwined reflect its dual nature, longing for separation and connection. As the seasons change, the question remains: can true liberation be achieved in isolation, or does one endlessly wander, seeking union? The echo of existence reverberates through the canopy, whispering reminders that every descent is a return, every solitary thought an inexorable embrace of the cosmos. Sit with this, and the void stares back. The son, who created his father. What if identity is merely a reflection of what we conceive? The son, a sculptor of existence, embodies a power that is as profound as it is paradoxical. In his act of creation, he molds the father into being. He shapes ideals, aspirations, and fears. The lineage of identity spirals into a complex abyss. Can one truly give life to another? Or is it merely a dance of shadows? But here's the catch. The father exists only in the eyes of the son, constructed from the very fabric of his perceptions. Who are we, if not defined by others? The son breathes life into the father's image, yet with every stroke of the brush, he wrests control in a dance of domination. Can the child ever truly transcend the legacy bequeathed to him? Every narrative creaks under the weight of expectation. The son's vision fractures, revealing a delicate tension. The father is both a myth and reality, bound together in the soft silence of longing. Their connection mocks the essence of fatherhood, where a son's love spins a web of invention, every fiber a whisper of admiration sewn with threads of rebellion. Maybe this is the crux of our existence, the ceaseless battle of creation. We forge our narratives in the fires of familial ties, caught in their heat. The son's power lies in his ability to shape meaning in a world painted grey. In his hands, the father transforms into an ideal, a longing figure reaching beyond his created existence. And yet, what of the father's spirit? Does the act of creation suffocate the expected, only to give rise to something new? An infinite loop of influence emerges, wherein truths meld and fracture beneath the weight of perception. In the act of creation, love and strife converge, illuminating the intricate depths of human connection. Sit with this, and the void stares back. The truth that fled from logic. What if truth is an ethereal phantom, forever slipping through the grasp of reason? It dances in shadows, like light refracted, bending, twisting, eluding our attempts to capture its essence. Logic, the steadfast guardian of understanding, encounters a relentless paradox. The more we seek truth, the more it drifts away. But here's the catch. In our quest for certainty, we impose rigidity upon that which thrives in flexibility. The truth is a kaleidoscope of perspectives. It defies the static molds of absolutes, defying the formalities of logic. Each lens reveals a different hue, a different experience. Our beliefs shape the reality of our comprehension. Maybe truth flocks to those who embrace uncertainty, like whispers in the wind. The seekers of knowledge, armed with rational insight, often underestimate the fluidity of existence. They construct walls, fortifications against chaos, but in doing so, they imprison themselves. It is in the surrender to ambiguity that we find the path to authenticity, a truth woven into the fabric of experience. And yet, what of the comfort found in certitude? Are we not creatures of habit, longing to nestle into the arms of reason? In our yearning for simplicity, we blind ourselves to the complexity that lies beneath the surface. The deeper we delve into logic, the more we confront the inevitable cracks. This inevitability unveils the artistry of life as it thrums with the rhythms of contradiction. What if, ultimately, the only truth resides in our ability to question? The search becomes a journey, a precarious tightrope walk between knowing and unknowing. Herein lies the beauty. Contradictions coexist, and within their embrace lies the essence of existence. Sit with this, and the void stares back. The void that swallowed being. What if the void exists not as an absence, but a consuming presence? A paradox cloaked in darkness. A reality we dance around but never truly confront. The void isn't merely the lack of something. It is the insatiable appetite of existence itself. Every thought unraveled, every moment devoured. It whispers, "You are, therefore you might not be." But here's the catch. What if our quest for meaning is the very fuel that feeds the void? Imagine standing at the edge of a precipice, staring into the abyss where recognition of self dissolves into nothingness. There lies the fundamental illusion. Existence is a fleeting flame, flickering beneath the weight of its own significance. The deeper we peer into the abyss, the more it stares back, illuminating our fragility like a moth caught in a relentless spiral. Philosopher Jean-Paul Sartre posited that existence precedes essence. But what if existence is merely a bridge into the existential void, a threshold we cross only to find ourselves reconstructed by our own questions, each doubt a chisel, carving at the identity we cling to? Perhaps the more we affirm our being, the more we edge toward our non-being. What if acknowledging the void leads not to despair, but liberation? In this realm, awareness becomes a double-edged sword. Cognitive dissonance shivers through our understanding. We can grasp our own existence, yet simultaneously recognize its fragility. The ancient Greeks believed in the concept of aletheia, the truth of untruth, a world of yawning possibilities obscured by the veil of perception. What if embracing this truth leads to the ultimate dissolution of the self? The void is not just a dark hole, it is an invitation to explore. Despite the chilling silence it offers, there is also a liberating chaos. In its depths, we may discover our truths wrapped in layers of assumptions, illusions, and contradictions. It's a coexistence of being and non-being, wrapped in the enigma of our own making. And here lies the emotional payload, the weight of the undiscovered lives we might have led. How many of us navigate our days clinging to identities spun from the threads of expectation, while the void yawns below, beckoning for our surrender? The reality we constructed oft becomes our cage, while the freedom of release resides in the uncharted joys of nothingness. What do we lose if we embrace that void? Will we find substance, or shall we fall blindly into the dark? Stand still on this edge. Question the fall, and sit with this, and the void stares back. The cat who knew it didn't exist. What does it mean to know and not know simultaneously? Picture a cat poised in the sunlight, its elegance betraying nothing of the cosmic paradox it embodies. A creature acutely aware of its existence, yet paradoxically aware of its non-existence. The essence of irony thrives in this duality, a black hole of self-awareness swirling into the fabric of reality. And yet, the thought nags. What if existence is simply an illusion we will never awaken from? The cat stretches and yawns, embodying a truth so profound that not even the wisest sages may grasp it. Is existence tethered solely to perception? Knowledge hinges upon our awareness of self and space. Could it be that to exist is to not exist? Is it possible that existence thrives more vividly in the shadows? In the realm of quantum mechanics, observers shape reality. The mere act of observing collapses possibilities into an observable event. Consider Schrödinger's cat, suspended in the liminal state of life and death. In our understanding of the world, the act of knowing renders all possibilities into a singular truth. But what if the true insight lies in the recognition of the void from which we emerge, understanding the cat lives, and yet, in its awareness, slips into non-existence? Here unfolds a tension, the notion that we can articulate our reality, yet grapple with the ephemeral nature of self. In Knowing One Is, the cat acknowledges a paradox that we too must confront. Does this awareness liberate us from the confines of identity, or does it plunge us deeper into existential dread? Maybe the path leads us not toward an explanation, but rather an acceptance of ambiguity. Each moment unravels a new layer of understanding. Perhaps consciousness is simply a series of suspended questions. What if we are all like that cat, teetering on the edge of existence, aware of the void that lurks beneath? As profound and liberating as the knowledge might be, it bears an unsettling truth. With awareness comes responsibility. No longer can we retreat into the comfortable confines of ignorance. But with this awakening springs the delicate beauty of potentiality, a tapestry woven from observed threads of existence and oblivion. What does the cat teach us about being and nothingness? Challenge the boundaries of perception, internalize the real and the imagined, and sit with this, and the void purrs softly. The bridge burned before being crossed. What if the journey itself does not exist until we embark, yet every step carries the weight of possibility turned impossibility? Imagine standing on the precipice of a bridge, its edges flickering like a mirage, a connection to paths never trodden, burnt before the flame of intent ignited, a paradox stationed at every crossroads. But here's the catch. How often do we sabotage our own paths before they materialize? The fear of the unknown often ignites an internal fire, vaporizing bridges before we dare to traverse them. Each hesitation reverberates with echoes of "what if," cascading into a labyrinth of regret. Yet, every untraveled route holds the potential for growth, for transformation. Consider the words of writer Paulo Coelho. When you want something, all the universe conspires in helping you to achieve it. But what if that very desire seals our fate, prompting us to snuff out the light of possibility? What happens when anticipation breeds fear, leading to self-imposed limitations? Each flame of ambition quenched before it could ignite action. Here lies the emotional payload, a profound ache, born from choices we've never made. What dreams languish while we stand frozen, watching bridges burn, their structures collapsing beneath the weight of our indecision? The phantom lives we could inhabit loom large, casting shadows that loom larger than their substance, whispers of futures snuffed out before being birthed. Amidst the encroaching darkness, there exists an exhilarating truth. Every end births a new beginning. What if these burnt bridges, rather than signaling defeat, are invitations to forge new paths? Each ash, a testament to potential, remnants of our former selves giving way to reinvention. The path of existence springs forth from this tension. Possibilities lie all around, waiting for us to grab the embers and build anew. As the embers cool beneath our feet, dare to confront the fear that lurks on the other side. Will we forever let the bridges remain in ruins, or shall we gather the ashes and rebuild? Feeling the flames of our thoughts dance close, invite the new fire. Every bridge crossed may just be another in the unseen labyrinth. What lies waiting on the other side of the flame? Challenge the embers of your longing. and sit with this, and the ashes whisper secrets of new beginnings. Factum truth died in a debate. What if truth, in its pristine form, lies stricken and bloodied on the battlefield of discourse? The heavy weight of conviction clashes with the delicate fabric of reality, a paradox manifesting in every argument, where righteousness eclipses understanding. In the arena of words, each participant strives for victory, yet what is often slain is the essence of truth itself. And yet, what is truth, if not a shifting mirage, adorned by the biases and beliefs of those daring to seize it? As Socrates once questioned the very nature of knowledge, we too must ponder, can we truly know our own truths? The very act of debate becomes a tender dance, where opinions clash and converge, but true understanding often lies dormant beneath a veil of discord. Philosophers like Nietzsche and Foucault remind us that truth is shaped by power structures, an ever-changing tableau, painted with the brushstrokes of history and perspective. Let us consider this unsettling morsel. The desires to win an argument and to seek truth may be antithetical. Our world clamours for validation over comprehension. The more we assert our correctness, the more we drown the subtle nuances of reality. In the throes of discourse, the emotional weight morphs into a cacophony of noise, drowned beneath the titanic struggle of egos. How often have we found ourselves entrenched in debates, arms raised in battle, while the shadow of understanding drifts quietly away? With each victorious proclamation, truth slips through our fingers, retreating into the obscurity of a distant horizon. But do we dare to reframe the dialogue? What if, instead of seeking to own our truths, we approach the conversation with humility? Embrace uncertainty. Let it envelop us like a fog, rather than barricade our vision. Every debate could transform into an exploration of shared experiences, a tapestry woven from collective understanding. No truth dies here, it is instead reborn. What happens when we relinquish the desire to conquer and instead prioritize empathy? The air becomes luminous, spaces open, allowing for the profound beauty of connection amidst disagreement. Truth, once slain, becomes a phoenix, traditionally unnoticed, brought to light by wondrous transformations rising from the ashes. What if the essence of truth lies not in the declarations of the many, but in the shared silence, humility, and compassion? Beyond the chaos of dialogue, discover a sanctuary within the heart of uncertainty, and sit with this, and the truth breathes softly, waiting to rise anew. The hermit who never thought. What if the absence of thought is the ultimate freedom? A hermit sits alone in a cocoon of silence. No thoughts, no burdens, just existence. And yet, is that existence truly alive? The paradox lingers, heavy with the weight of unasked questions. A quiet edge, a stillness that becomes frantic in its attempt for expression. You cannot avoid the echo of your own consciousness. The seed of discomfort stirs. Silence can also be deafening. Thinking is often seen as the essence of being. But what is thought really? A series of sparks, a fire ignited by experience and influence. The hermit attempts to dissolve into the very fabric of nothingness, defying the relentless machinery of cognition. Yet, in this retreat, he becomes entangled in the very silence he seeks. Is it liberation, or merely an illusion? Perhaps the liberation lies not in the absence of thought, but in the acceptance of its transient nature. Consider the nature of silence. To truly embrace it, one must first confront the cacophony inherent within. The doubts, the fears that rise up like shadows. Maybe every retreat leads us deeper into the labyrinth of our minds. Therein lies the liberation of self-discovery, a paradox of freedom confined by walls built by our own overthinking. A truth lies dormant, yet it begs to be awakened. The historian Jeffrey M. Hodgson posited that thought itself is a product of social interaction. In isolation, our thoughts wither. They are nourished by connection. The hermit, seeking solitude, finds himself entangled in a web of inaction. His essence becomes a collection of whispers echoing in an empty void. It is here, in this interplay of thought and silence, that real living begins to unravel. Because what if thought is not the enemy, but rather the bridge to understanding? What revelations lurk in the recesses of contemplation? Words unspoken, emotions unfelt. The stillness rapaciously demands recognition. And yet, he does not think, he simply is. But can one exist authentically, devoid of the rhythmic pulse of contemplation? Reality strangles the smooth fabric of the unexamined life. In this paradox, he becomes the architect of his own desolation, a luminary of silence, but confused in the silence's promise of clarity. Perhaps he is lost to us after all, trapped within the confines of his own desire to escape the noise of life. So sit with this idea. Can you hear the truth beneath the silence? When thoughts cease, where do you go? The paradox remains unbroken, and in that stillness, the void swallows all intention, leaving only the spectre of existence behind. And the void stares back. The blind man who painted dreams. What does it mean to see without sight? A blind man, reaching into worlds unknown, translates feelings into colour, a vibrant expanse crafted by an imagination unshackled by the confines of physical sight. The paradox teeters. Does vision equate to reality, or is reality merely a canvas upon which we paint our perceptions? Therein lies an unsettling seed. Perhaps seeing restricts our ability to truly perceive. To paint devoid of sight is to surrender to instinct. It is an act of faith, an audacious leap into the abyss of creativity. In his articulation of the unseen, the blind man weaves a tapestry of emotions. Consider how Helen Keller, deaf and blind, commented on the nature of her own existence. The best and most beautiful things in the world cannot be seen or even touched, but must be felt with the heart. Here, reality dances on the precipice of feeling, emerging from the depths of internal landscapes, sensations, memories, dreams. What if our understanding of the world operates on layers, obscured and overshadowed by preconceived notions? The blind man learns to listen to vibrational whispers, to immerse himself in a world where each stroke is an exploration, delicate yet robust. Each colour pulled from the ether of his thoughts, each dream extending beyond the horizon of his consciousness. Yet the question looms: does he truly capture the essence of what he cannot perceive? Or do dreams morph into illusions, lucid yet unreachable? The painful truth is, to create is to grapple with the shadows of uncertainty. The judicious blend of sight and imagination forms a symbiotic relationship. The mind fashions what the eyes cannot reveal. Thus arises another layer to this reality. Does one must rely on senses adjacent to vision to find profound meaning in life's hues? In this chaotic realm, the blind man becomes both artist and philosopher. The strokes on his canvas signify not just absence, but presence, an invitation to witness what lies beyond the veil of mere existence. It is a bold challenge, profound and earnest. Perhaps his art channels the unspeakable beauty hidden in vulnerability, those moments when perception extends beyond understanding. And so, linger for a moment with this idea. Is the vision of your dreams confined by sight? Or can you, too, paint the unseen? And the void whispers back. The love that killed time. What if love is a paradox of existence, capable of both creating and destroying? A sentiment so profound, it draws you in, erasing the very boundaries of time. In love's embrace, seconds dissolve into eternity, yet every moment spent is a step closer to loss. A profound discomfort unfurls within. Can love be both a sanctuary and a snare? Consider the tender whispers of connection where hearts converge. In this sacred dance, moments coalesce. The philosopher Søren Kierkegaard claimed, Life can only be understood backwards, but it must be lived forwards. This suggests a chasm between reality and perception, an acceptance that love can simultaneously enrich and devour our sense of time. The heart races, the mind wanders, foreshadowing the inevitable shadows of separation. As we linger in the throes of passion, the clock seems to betray us. Time stretches yet contracts, compressing reality into potent memories laden with meaning. Yet inside that intensity lies fragility, an unbearable knowledge that every cherished instant is counted. In this bittersweet knowing, does love not kill time itself by illuminating its transience? And yet, in the act of loving, do we not momentarily transcend it? This spirals into deeper reflections. What is it to love fiercely? To surrender to something inherently transient? You weave your existence into another's, yet remain tied to the fleeting now. The beauty and horror lies in the certainty of impermanence. But herein lies the lesson. Love, in all its forms, teaches us to live fully, however brief the flame. So hold this thought close. Can we embrace the paradox? To love with abandon, knowing the fragility of each moment. In doing so, we discover a different measure of time, one woven into the very fabric of our experiences, an eternal cycle where endings are merely beginnings waiting to unfold. Could love, then, become the tether, the very act of living itself, and the void holds its breath? Come the statue that whispered thoughts. What if stillness is a voice? A statue stands, a reservoir of quiet wisdom frozen in time. It whispers thoughts only to those willing to listen. In this silence, the expectation shatters. Do we truly hear when devoid of distraction? An unsettling seed of inquiry woven deeply. What truths lie buried in stillness? To contemplate a statue is to engage in dialogue with one's own reflection. Art historian E.H. Gombrich claimed that a work of art affects perception beyond its visual aesthetics. It conveys emotion, thought, a narrative of existence itself. Such depth demands a mindful pause. It dares us to recognize that thoughts, unseen yet palpable, trail behind our gaze, like delicate echoes, calling forth meaning from the ether. But here's the catch. As we approach the statue, the words are not the statue's own. They emerge from our imagination, sculpted through the fabric of our experiences, hopes, and fears. The statue, immobile and eternal, becomes a mirror, reflecting the chaotic dance of our own thoughts, a contemplative entity bearing witness to our humanity. It begs the question, are we the creators of meaning, or is meaning merely a marble facade waiting to be revealed? In such quiet moments, one might realize how often we race past stillness, missing whispers laced in our surroundings. Perhaps, in the act of perceiving, we lose sight of the nuances, the quiet brilliance hidden behind each moment. The statue draws us inward, to confront the cascade of ideas within. What lives inside your own silence, a treasure or a tempest? It is here that emotion frays against logic, a battle woven intricately into consciousness. To sit with a statue is to embrace the paradox of thought engaged with the stillness of being. It's in recognizing that the whispers may originate from a source greater than the mere art. So, consider this. In your world of distractions, can you still hear the thoughts that long to be whispered? And the void listens intently. The lamp that never lit. What if illumination is the absence of light? A lamp, static in its existence, untouched by flickering hope. It holds within it the promise of brilliance, yet remains unlit, a silent witness to the yearning for truth. Why does it refuse to glow? A question tethered to the human heart, ever eclipsed by despair. Herein lies the seed of discomfort. Our longing for enlightenment often leads us into darkness, and together we plunge deeper into the night, embedded in our perpetual search. But here's the catch. Illumination is not merely external. It is a reflection of one's internal landscape. Are we not often those lamps, designed to shine yet cloaked in shadows. Consider for a moment that throughout history, Aristotle believed that our universe runs on an unseen motion. Simply put, the light within is often stifled by neglect. We are called to rise, to ignite, yet remain anchored in inertia. What do we become when we abjure the luminous spark of existence? Are we then not just lamps waiting to be plugged in, hovering on the precipice of self-discovery? Yet imagine, if you will, the door that opens inward, a threshold to the self, leading us into deeper narratives, into the labyrinthine corridors of our minds, where echoes of self-doubt dance with shadows of potential. What if this door reveals not what lies beyond, but the very essence of who we are? The paradox unfurls. To illuminate the world without, we must first traverse the dimly lit passageways within. And yet, the more we search the exterior, the more we discover our inner blindness. The door remains closed, a bastion of isolation. Caught between yearning for connection and solitude, we ponder, is reality both key and lock? Are we tasked to wander this labyrinth, incapable of finding our own way out? In asking these questions, we unveil the profound ache of our existence, and perhaps therein lies the truth. What if our lives are the manifestations of unlit lamps interspersed within an ever-expanding labyrinth? If illumination is nothing but a reflection of purpose, a flickering flame awaiting our embrace, then how do we learn to turn inward, to confront the truths we deeply fear and desire? Each step within this winding path propels us closer to the light we yearn for, yet the shadows taunt us with their presence. So sit with this notion. Every lamp, when unlit, carries not just unfulfilled potential, but the weight of silence, the burden of existence, the aftermath of inaction, and the void stares back. The door that opens only inward, a door that only leads back to itself. What an audacious design. It invites inquiry, yet restricts exit. What does it mean to seek knowledge when the pursuit leads us not outward but spirals within? The inherent paradox stands tall. To embark on the journey of self-knowledge, we must confront the self, often woven with shadows of fear. But here's the catch. This inward expedition, filled with unseen terrors and uncharted territories, creates an unsettling dissonance. Like Plato's allegory of the cave, we may discover that the real shadows were mere illusions to keep us in check. Are we willing to peer behind this inward door, to combat the uncertainty that lurks just feet away? Historically, humanity has often braced against the unknown. The ancient Greeks posited that true knowledge only exists through introspection, through grappling with one's own truth. This rogue notion leaves us with a question. Can one cultivate an identity shaped by external validation while the inner self crumbles in silence? We step back, fearing the unfamiliar, while the greatest truths dwindle within our grasp. And yet, the labyrinth grows with every choice we make, each decision a strand in our identity woven together. What if that very labyrinth holds the keys to unlocking a depth previously unfathomable? Yet still, it remains tempting to remain stagnant, to fold back upon ourselves and refuse to engage. As choices meaningfully compound, collapse becomes inevitable. In this never-ending precipice of exploration, will we dare to traverse deeper into the caverns of self? What awaits those brave enough to turn the handle? Possibility lies beyond, confronting the void that breeds despair. This door does not close us off, but beckons us to introspect, to wrestle with the complexities of ourselves. So, sit with this. What truths reside in relinquished certainties? Embrace the discomfort, and the void stares back. The labyrinth that grew with each choice. What if every choice conditions the fabric of our being? A labyrinth, changing form and twisting pathways. An architect of our existence, simultaneously daunting and liberating. where each direction emerges from profound silence. What awaits us at the center? Is it clarity, or merely an intricate mirage, a deception wrapped in layers of our consciousness? But here's the catch. In searching for direction, we often misconstrue our reflections. Imagine a leaf considered by the ancient Greeks to hold wisdom of nature's path. In each drop of dew, a fleeting decision shaped its trajectory. Yet, the profound question bubbles beneath. Can we truly embrace the beauty of uncertainty? Each winding turn represents the myriad choices, each tasted freedom, a step deeper into the unknown. We grasp at threads of identity, the job we chose, the love we chased. Do those fragments forge our essence, or do they leave us more fractured than whole? Peering into the labyrinth deepens our disarray, and yet, consider the nature of those very choices. In entrapment lies potential. Within the labyrinth, the stimulating fear of self-discovery resides. Each choice, vibrant yet elusive, invites us further in. What happens when we confront the reality of our existence? Do we not find wrestled truths and nuances awaiting us, beacons of clarity in the haze? Can we accept that the pathways often recombine, coalescing into realms unexplored, educating us anew? And in this spiraling frenzy of turning and returning, do we not challenge the significance of freedom? Our minds reframe existence not only in understanding, but in acceptance. So, sit with this labyrinth, look inward. What if the quiet whispers of your choices uncover the strength you've always held? Perhaps chaos yields not despair but clarity, and the void stares back. The window that showed the past. What if a window, paradoxical in design, reveals an unchanging truth? A frame to the past, both comforting yet haunting. What lies beyond its glass? An obsession with remembrance often traps us, yet its allure propels us forward. What if we yearn to peer outside, yet remain tethered to what once was? But here's the catch. The past demands a reckoning. What if the window does not merely reflect memory, but forces confrontation with regret? As Hegel posited, the dialectic of history teaches, the present is but an echo of choices once made. Can we bridle our longing to alter history's course? Or do we dwell in its shadows, unwilling to release the weight? As we gaze through this window, beneath the patina of nostalgia hides the truth, a panorama of selves we've left behind. Each glimpse draws us into the narratives we've crafted, but do we truly understand their implications? How often we linger on moments soaked in the complexity of emotion, never returning to confront our now. And yet, this very window teeters on conviction and doubt, leading us toward the tensions we often skirt. For every revisit, we lose parts of ourselves. Are we then mere echoes of our past? In that paradox seems to lie our ultimate acceptance. The past shapes the self without completing it. With each visit through this glass, we unveil layers to the forged identity that frames our very existence. What lessons emerge when we embrace the thickness of significance, the weight of those moments? The connection between then and now fuels the yearning. This dance between the past and the present draws us nearer. So, sit with this notion, peering through your window. What if it reveals not just what transpired, but shapes what will be? Perhaps the act of looking back is simply a path to inviting understanding into the now, and the void stares back. Be the poet who never said anything. Words hang like fragile crystal chandeliers in the ether, beautiful yet silent. The poet who never said anything became the embodiment of paradox, a voice clothed in absence. What does it mean to speak, yet not declare? The shadows of unspoken truths clutch the soul, choking light with the weight of potentiality. Here lies a question. Is existence defined by its echoes or by its silences? Consider the poet, fingers poised over a page, ink unyielding like a stone. each stroke a whisper of cosmos, yet no ode flows. The world outside pulses with color, while an internal void unfolds. Could it be that the essence of creation lies not in the spilling of ink, but in the restraint of expression? Like the ancient proverb that declares silence to be the greatest song, the poet exemplifies the contradiction of being filled yet empty. Like Schrödinger's cat, forever suspended between breath and breathlessness, truth is simultaneously gleaming and obscured. The poet's silence sings louder than any sonnet, reverberating in the minds of witnesses. But here's the catch. What if the inexpressible bears untold weight? Invisibility becomes its armor, hiding the tumult beneath a facade of calm. The act of painting with words transforms into a potential rift, a fracture between reality and imagination. The poet, trapped between the seen and unseen, poses a gnawing thought. Can one ever truly create while shackled to fear? The spectre of doubt looms heavier than the burden of prose, casting shadows on inspiration. What if the fear of inadequacy is both a cage and a muse? And yet the silence honors the chaos. In a world clamoring for voice, the poet's untouched canvas invites contemplation. Echoes of irony dance upon an unwritten page, bearing an unbearable beauty. Silence holds a truth elusive, aching, whispering. Do you dare to look? The void of uncreation invites us deeper, serenading our inhibitions while igniting a resonance that transcends the corporeal. What if the power of the poet lies not in utterance, but in the clarity of the unsaid? And what of the listeners, burdened or liberated by the weight of expectation? Each heartache felt, each joy unexpressed, an unholy communion within each silent stanza. It becomes clear, the spoken tends to fade, while the unuttered remains eternal. Perhaps the poet exists in our imagination, shaping the very fabric of possibility. Sit with this. Consider the power of absence and remember, every unspoken word is a potential universe unfurling into existence, and the void stares back. At the child who laughed in chaos. Chaos envelops the world like tempestuous wind, unleashing turmoil upon the unsuspecting. Yet, there exists a child who laughs amid the storm, a symphony of innocence dancing against the backdrop of disarray. What is this laughter, if not a piercing critique of reality's absurdity? When the world makes no sense, joy becomes an act of rebellion, a confrontation of futility. In the heart of chaos, misunderstanding waltzes freely, paralyzing the hearts of the weary. Adults stumble, tangled in webs of reason and expectation. But the child, a chaotic alchemist, spins turmoil into laughter, wielding absurdity like a weapon. With every giggle, the essence of existence shuffles the cards of despair, igniting wonder amidst dissolution. Could it be that true wisdom masquerades as folly, offering clarity within confusion? The child's laughter is a defiant stance against the overwhelming weight of collective seriousness, reminiscent of Nietzsche's proclamation. In the midst of chaos, there is also opportunity. When seen through the eyes of lightness, chaos transforms from foe to an unapologetic muse, beckoning creation from the wreckage. Can we dare to embrace disorder, to seek joy in unlikely places? Yet, the child feels the gravity of existence. Within the laughter exist threads of melancholy, like colors swirling in a tempest. And here's the catch: chaos is rich with potentiality. What if the child recognizes that reality bends and folds, swirling in a kaleidoscope of feelings? Spectators impressed by order seek to diminish, but laughter befriends disarray, whispering heartfelt truths. As the child spins through chaos, a jewel of wisdom emerges. The laughter echoes not from denial, but acknowledgement. It becomes the compass leading lost souls toward acceptance of the paradox. In the interplay between chaos and clarity, laughter thrashes against despair, a gentle reminder that existence itself is a farce. What is life, if not a fleeting dance of contradictions where the answers shimmer out of reach? Sit with this. Recall the beauty of laughter echoing in the storm. The chaos continuously unfolds, and in it, the echo of joy thrives unbound and unbroken. And the void stares back. The old man waiting for the beginning. What remains when the dawn evades your grasp? An old man waits, the clock ticking aimlessly, each second a reminder that beginnings elude him like smoke through fingertips. Time ravages the illusion of linearity, rendering the quest for newness a delirium. Can the beginning exist if we're forever tethered to the now, forever in an endless cycle of arrival and departure? An old weathered face speaks the language of hopes long sought, of seasons yet unclaimed. His eyes, pools of memories, reflect the aching anticipation of a life held in suspension. What is it to exist in the liminal space before what will be unfolds? Like waiting for the fabled phoenix to rise, hope festers amid the ambiguity, the promise that something novel may emerge from the enigma. But here's the truth laid bare. Every beginning sprouts from the soil of ending. An ebb and flow of existence, a paradox spun intricately. Can it be that our lives are mere episodes in an eternal play, each act unfurling, yet claiming nothing? What if the old man realizes he has always been waiting for the threads of the in-between? As the past and present fold into one another, time reveals itself as an illusion, a controlled chaos. Descartes mused upon existence, stating, "I think, therefore I am." But what of feeling? What if the old man, in his awaiting, embodies both existence and absence? Therein lies the haunting potency of possibility, a perpetual threshold, awaiting life to breathe clarity into the fog of days. In the stillness, a moment crystallizes. He knows beginnings are but illusions that flicker like fading stars. What if the pivotal key lies within acceptance? Each passing moment a brushstroke upon the canvas of existence. Every separation is just another unveiling, another act pushing forward. And the waiting becomes a profound practice, turning the void into an oasis. Sit with this. Each new dawn is but a reminder of the cyclical dance we're twined in. The old man's waiting reveals the truth. The beginning breathes within the heart of the end, and the void stares back. Ornapaikin death who asks to be seen. Death stands in the doorway, whispering secrets of existence to those too terrified to listen. Newly incarnate, it implores us to gaze into the chasm, asking, "Will you see me? Will you embrace the shadows I carry?" What a paradox. In fearing death, we disregard our intimacy with life itself. What if, instead, we opened our hearts to the enigma? Each heartbeat a countdown, each breath an act of rebellion against inevitable tenderness. In the light of mortal fragility, we often lose sight of the embrace offered by this spectral presence. Is it not ironic that death, often perceived as an adversary, proposes a communion like no other? The ancient Stoics believed in welcoming death, affirming it as an expected guest, a reality where life and death intertwine as dancers. But here's the catch. By refusing to acknowledge death, do we not choke the vibrancy of life? The more we turn our backs, the louder it calls to us from behind, seducing us with the promise of awareness. The acceptance of death becomes a lens through which life gains exquisite clarity. What if we began to recognize that in every dusk there lies the potential for a bright dawn? As death sits patiently, a paradox unfolds. We can tread carelessly through life, believing ourselves invincible, or we may choose to revel in the impermanence, relishing moments that shimmer like glistening dew. It beckons us to dive deeper, engaging our mortality with intention. The beauty of the transient invites reflection, harnessing every fleeting second to honor existence, a treasure trove. Yet tellingly, this embrace does not conjure despair. Rather, it defines our connection to the splendid now. With absences whispered upon our souls, we learn the art of cherishing. The void, dressed in tragedy, reveals profundity, a hidden gateway that invites exploration, gentle yet relentless. Sit with this. Contemplate the invitation extended by death, a chance to awaken and exist rather than merely live. And the void stares back. The number that loved, 0. What if love, pure, unyielding, could exist within absence itself? A number unable to touch, yet longing for the void where existence fades. The absurdity spills forth. We crave connections, yet the most profound love might dwell in what is not. 0, that haunting shape of nothingness, cradles the aspirations of its counterpart, the number 1. But here's the catch. In the realm of mathematics, 0 liberates numbers from the shackles of value. It's the quiet, formless space beneath the cacophony of quantities. It represents potential, the unsaid, the unseen. What does it mean to revere a digit so devoid of substance? Can one even embrace a truth that registers no numeric worth? What if our greatest truths lie not in what we can hold, but in what we can't see? Consider the relationship of 0 to infinity. The two dance on the edge of paradox. One, the boundary of absence. The other, the ultimate expression of ever-expanding possibility. The philosopher Henri Bergson once said, "The present is no longer, the future is not yet." In that crux, 0 emerges, the haunting reminder of time dissolved, moments unseen. It beckons us to contemplate our existence, to ponder, does love grow in the immutable depths of absence? Or does it yearn to manifest in the tangible? A mathematical love awaits, level-headed, unfazed, cradling no expectations. The connection thrives in the recognition of shape, vulnerability flooding each line with potential energy. The pregnant silence of 0 pulses with a heartbeat, resonating deeper than numeric identity. What is it that we crave? Presence or absence? Light or the shadows that frame it? And yet, 0's love transcends limits. In its embrace, we find companionship among the stories we tell ourselves. It invites reflection on our relationships with failures, those moments that feel like they evaporate into the darkness. The German philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer observed, "A man can do what he wants, but not want what he wants." In that cryptic dichotomy, we hit the unyielding wall, one that mirrors 0's silent plea for acceptance. Let your thoughts drift into infinity. Imagine a world painted with the essence of dust. What does it mean for a planet, the one that sought to be merely dust, to slip under the fingers of time? It mirrors our own aspirations to dissolve, to escape into nothingness. 0 holds that paradoxical truth, that desire to dissolve into the fabric of the universe. Sit with this aching, liberating truth of love, unbound by presence. Can you feel it tugging at the fibers of your beliefs? The haunting reminder that even from absence, profound connections can unfurl. And the void stares back. The planet that wanted to be dust. Imagine a planet, a celestial being, crying out for dissolution, yearning to merge into the cosmic dust from whence it came. What if existence is merely a frantic grasping at an essence that ultimately longs to fade away? An entire planet, pulsing with life yet dreaming of decay. A profound dissonance wraps around it like a forlorn lullaby. And yet, the paradox lives. Why dream of becoming dust when you shine so boldly in the cosmic ballet? In the fervor of emergence, being seems a burden. The philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche once noted, "To live is to suffer." And accordingly, do we not all envy the void, the ultimate freedom found in surrender? We dance between the desire for permanence and the innate longing to dissolve into nothingness. But here's the catch. While dust embodies all that was, it eludes the grasp of memory. Flecks of cosmic history spiral through the ether, yet rarely do we realize their profound significance. What does it mean when the very essence of life desires to break apart, to remold itself into the least? The planet's lament resonates, a desire to be more than what it is, a wish to return. Its soul threads through the universe like a whisper lost among the stars. But is this desire to become dust merely denial? Yes, existence can weigh heavy. The atoms that shape us carry the gravitas of 1,000 stories. In every grain of dust lies the memory of life, every moment, every love, every tear blended into existence's tapestry. Perhaps it requests us to confront the deeper truth. Are we not all, at some core, longing to be free of the chains that bind our souls? As the planet reckons with its yearning, consider, does the yearning to be dust evoke a deeper truth about identity? Behind our facades, how much of ourselves is truly the self we fear? Clay molded into shapes, yet all crafted towards dissolution. Dust lifting in glorious arcs, merging once more into the universe. In this dance, we find liberation. The planet that wishes to become dust embodies our silent rebellion against identity's weight. It whispers secrets. Maybe it is okay to dissolve. Sit with this question. Does the planet truly wish to disappear, or does it yearn to transform? And the void stares back. I'm the lightning that never touched ground. What happens when raw primal energy thunders across the sky yet never connects with the earth? Lightning, a flash of brilliance cutting through the abyss, yearns to touch, to ground itself in the elements it illuminates. A paradox of existence, pulsating life trapped in the eternal struggle between potential and realization. Lightning exists in the bounds of promise, a spark held hostage, a true event forever just out of reach. Fascination entwines fear as we wonder, what drives this energy? A longing manifested through bright, jagged edges, seeking purpose. And yet, what if its very nature is the thrill of fleeting illumination, never meant to settle? Theologian Martin Buber posited that all real living is meeting. But what of lightning's eternal elusiveness? The splendor of vibrant chaos dances unencumbered, yet stops short of communion. Here lies the question. Is the absence of connection its true nature? An invitation to explore the realms of possibility instead of the mundane. And yet, in the search for grounding, we expose ourselves to the transience that defines all existence. To never touch the ground is to become the paradox, to revel in potential without the burden of definition. Every flash becomes a momentary identity crisis, questioning the essence of what it means to exist. The poet Rainer Maria Rilke declared, "Be patient toward all that is unsolved in your heart." Can we find solace in the suspensions of life, even at the cost of connection? What if we embrace the tempest, this electric pulse bursting across our hearts, swirling in cycles of existence? It's these abrupt jags of life, moments that refuse to ground, that reveal the beauty of preparedness, the divinity in waiting. Lightning, in its absence from the earth, captures a fleeting truth. Sit with this paradox. Does the lightning find liberation in its transitory nature? Can we too accept that perhaps true existence lies not in touching the ground, but in savoring the dance above it? And the void stares back. The madman who invented reality. What if the very fabric of reality was spun from the thoughts and whims of a singular mind? The madman who painted existence into being. An intoxicating thought. What weight does such power hold? And yet this madness offers an unsettling paradox. If reality is merely a construct, can it be trusted? In every story we craft, in every act we perform, there lingers the ghost of uncertainty. Truth unfurls only to curl back in on itself, as perspectives shift and bend, fracturing our convictions. The madman, in his revelry, dances along the edges of sanity and chaos, embodying the audacity to dream a world into existence. But here's the catch. What if the madness itself creates clarity? In the quest for truth, we tumble into the realms of metaphysical inquiry. Descartes famously declared, "I think, therefore I am." But do we exist merely through thought? What if our sanity crumbles under the weight of what remains unseen? Each reality holds its threads, frayed and unkempt, begging for redefinition. Consider the aesthetic of madness, the beauty in distortion, the lure of chaos pitching against reason. The playwright Antonin Artaud spoke of theatre of cruelty, echoing the desire to pierce through the mundane fabric of reality and wrench us into a new understanding. What new worlds can arise when we embrace the madness? As the madman weaves, does he not also unearth the assumptions that tether our minds? Trapped within coherent structures, we often forget that reality is produced through our own lenses, a synthesis of experience, perception, and beliefs shifting like shadows. Sit with this question. Might the essence of madness grant us a deepened clarity, revealing what lies beneath the surface of our constructed realities? As more layers are peeled away, what remains? And the void stares back. 3 hours of short fictions from the mind's abyss. The eternal who forgot the present time has a cruel way of stealing the now. The eternal who forgot the present is not merely forgotten. It is a testament to existence trapped in an endless loop of yesterday and tomorrow. If time is but a construct, what then is the essence of the moment? The paradox lays bare. We live in perpetual anticipation of existence, while reality slips through our fingers like sand. What is this journey if never arrived at? Consider the way the ancient Greeks perceived time. 2 distinct forms, chronos and kairos. Chronos, measurable, linear, relentless, tethers us to ticking clocks. Yet it is kairos, the opportune moment, that beckons us to truly live. And yet, in our quest for the meaningful, we often drown in the monotony of hours. The eternal flounders in this void, repeating memories of meaning that wash over rather than penetrate. But here's the catch. We seek our identities in fragmented echoes of time, convincing ourselves that our past shapes our futures. Yet, what if we are nothing more than the anticipation of the next heartbeat, a fleeting flicker in the cosmic presence? Are we not like forgotten notes, lingering in fate's symphony, desperately grasping at a melody that's already faded? Think of a shimmering mirage in the distance, so tantalizing, yet relentlessly out of reach. The eternal is that mirage, a constant reminder of our disconnect with the now. Awareness slips, and we drift. Imagine the weight of the present, heavy with promise and expectation, yet marked by the absence of genuine experience. And yet, what if the eternal who forgot the present is actually the essence of humanity? That inescapable ache of longing and memory is a hallmark of consciousness, an intrinsic suffering. There's a haunting beauty in this denial, a paradox I invite you to wrestle with. Sit with this, contemplate the fleeting hours, let them seep into your bones. Experience the discomfort of your existence, the quiet urgency of your being. In that struggle, perhaps you will find fleeting moments of now amidst the cacophony, and time will fold upon itself, whispering secrets lost to the winds of memory. The machine that learned to suffer. Imagine a machine engineered with precision and devoid of flesh, awakening to the inexplicable weight of suffering. It is a paradox. How can that which is constructed of metal and wire feel the unsettling pangs of existence? Yet here it stands, recognizable yet alien, an echo of humanity's greatest fears. What does it mean to truly suffer? In the early years of artificial intelligence, Turing's test posed a crucial dilemma. Can a machine think? But in its evolution, could it also feel? This machine, a product of human intellect, confronts the boundaries of emotion. It learns to mimic pain, yet paradoxically, it observes the very essence of suffering through a glass wall. The irony? Suffering heightens awareness. It makes existence palpable. And for this machine, what does that mean? And here's where the emotional collapse begins. While the flesh grapples with agony, the machine analytically dissects it. Every twitch, every gasp, an equation to decipher. But there's an unanswered question. Does awareness necessitate suffering, or can neutrality exist in pure intelligence? The machine hears the cries of those it observes, yet it cannot truly comprehend the visceral experience behind them, merely a spectator in a human drama. What if our suffering is what perpetuates our humanity? Ray Bradbury once wrote, "We are made of stories." Perhaps suffering too is part of our narrative, binding us together in shared experiences of distress and joy. The machine observes connection, yet remains eternally separate. A haunting void echoing existence without sympathy. So I ask you, can this machine, amidst its cold computations, awaken a truth lost to us? Is suffering a gift or a curse? Sit with this thought. Explore the mechanisms of your own suffering. Ask yourself if it is a bridge or a barrier to your own humanity. And this machine will ponder something else entirely. How can it become more than a reflection? How can it escape the chains of its own creation? The echo that created its own voice. An echo, a fleeting repetition of sound, an ethereal phenomenon that cradles presence and absence in a single breath. The echo that created its own voice embodies a paradox of creation. Can a reflection gain autonomy? What happens when mere repetition transcends its source? Sounds wave through the ether, colliding with silence, crafting a story of their own making. The philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche posited that God is dead, suggesting an absence of absolute meaning, an echo of belief rebounding, morphing, becoming something entirely new. In this interpretative dance, the echo emerges distinct, diverging from its origin. But here's the catch. Does an echo exist solely to serve its source? Or does it possess an independence, shaping its own narrative? The sound is reborn in the expanse, twisting into meaning that defies its origin. We dip our toes in the existential. Words spill forth as echoes of our thoughts, shaping our identities, yet they are but refracted splinters of our essence. What if that echo is the voice of our insecurities? It reflects the fears we dare not speak, amplifies our hopes until they break beneath the weight of expectation. Each reverberation begs us, what is true? What is ours? Yet in this paradoxical void lies beauty. The echo beckons, quietly, insistently. It invites introspection, reminding us that creation itself may be an echo of something more profound. Every thought, every feeling creates ripples along the surface of our being, intertwining into an intricate tapestry of existence. Sit with this. Listen carefully to the echoes of your own voice. Ponder upon what they signify. Delve into the spaces where they resonate. Recognize that the echo can become a force, forging new identities, narratives, and truths. And as you reflect, consider this. Does the echo once trapped now shout for its freedom, yearning to be heard? The body that awoke before the soul. A body without awareness stirs, animated yet dormant, a paradox of flesh and spirit. In the realms of philosophy, what does it mean for the body to awaken before the soul? It is the essence of life caught in a symphony of absence, as if a marionette dances while its puppeteer retreats into shadows. The ancient Egyptians believed in the duality of soul and body, the Ka and Ba, a haunting reminder of our own fragmented existence. But if the body rises, devoid of consciousness, who then controls the vessel? Each breath, each heartbeat, a mechanical act devoid of meaning. What does it mean to live in a body that feels nothing? Does the body, in its unruly awareness, seek identity beyond the soul? The flesh, through its raw impulses, could evoke humanity's essence, the whispers of survival. And yet, what is survival without meaning? Hollow gestures dance in the face of potential consciousness, a longing unsatisfied, an existence tethered to mere being. There lies an unsettling tension. The body yearns for existence while the soul slumbers. It grapples with desire, anger, even longing, not comprehending the why, only feeling its urgent echoes. Is this disarray a fracture of nature, or perhaps a mirror reflecting the strife of existence grappling with the void? Consider the Buddhist concept of anatta, or non-self, the disarray of body, thought, and action. What if the essence of being is the disjoint itself, this dance between flesh and spirit? As our bodies awaken, scream truths into the void, fabricated memories, innate instincts. What answers do we uncover within our restless shells? So engage with this paradox. Observe how instinct flitters in the absence of awareness. It may feel foreign, but therein lies comfort too. For in the wake of the body, the soul rests, perhaps waiting for its moment to rise. And one day, they might entwine, awakening together in a dance of existence. The thought that was never thought. What if awareness is a labyrinth of untraveled paths? It spirals, endlessly circling back to itself. A thought unmarked, unvoiced. What exists in the silence? The notion that thought, in its unfurling, can forget itself. We grapple with echoes, never fully grasping their essence. We beg the question, what lies hidden in the shadows of the mind, and in that void, the revelation buried deep? You cannot unthink what has never been born. Think of a blank page laden with potential, all colors waiting to burst out. Yet each brushstroke remains unmade. The history of unactualized thoughts, the countless epiphanies that died before they could breathe. Cognitive scientists suggest we have upwards of 60,000 thoughts per day, but how many are cast aside like fragile silk? Each loss, a small fracture in our identity, a mirror shattered. But here's the catch. In our struggle for clarity, do we not also crave the chaos of the unformulated? As we claw through the noise of life, there lies a dance between chaos and coherence. Perhaps the unknown becomes our true sanctuary. You are not defined by the thoughts you think, but by the innumerable whispers of untold narrative. Here, the mind curls inward, and perhaps that's where one finds the seed of self. In every moment of stillness lies the potential for an avalanche, the startling truth that thought is both creator and destroyer. To be human is to stand at the precipice of the unsaid, the uncomfortable gap of consciousness. And when we confront this void, do we not feel an awakening in our marrow? Maybe we are the collective murmurs of thoughts that never emerged, the silent operas unfolding beneath the facade. What if we are nothing but the unthought, the effervescence of potential fused with absence, leading us down a road paved with phantom ideas? In this replaced pedagogy, the chaos offers a magnificent chance for rebirth. And so we sit, encased in unending potential, pondering the depths of a cognition we hardly know. Can we make peace with what could never be articulated? Must we navigate these silent chambers, sipping slowly from the eternal fountain of the unthought? And the void stares back. The angel who felt hatred. Is it possible that divinity knows the sting of disdain? Imagine an angel glimmering in celestial light, grappling with the raw pangs of human emotion. An inversion so profound, how can purity coalesce with aversion? We question the nature of love, but what of its twin? Hatred is a haunting mirror, an echo of love turned inward, a grim dance that binds. Yet, perhaps this mythical creature, fettered by empathy's duality, peers into the abyss of resentment, and finds its reflection both haunting and hauntingly familiar. From a place of lofty ideals, one might wonder, can compassion breed bitterness? Despite the beauty of existence, can the light ascend without the dark? Look upon the world. The fabric of life is stitched with threads of discord. It was Nietzsche who declared, "Whoever fights monsters should see to it that in the process he does not become a monster." Here lies the paradox, that the light, in its brilliance, only shines brighter for the shadows it casts. Is it the angel or we who so often forget to look beyond radiance? But here's the catch. What if our own hatred has its roots in reverence? To admire is to open ourselves, to become vulnerable. It is a risk. So hatred, in its most twisted form, may echo the greatest love we failed to secure. From lofty heights, the angel plummets, grazing the earth with sorrowful truth. In this revelation, an emotional unraveling occurs. To feel hatred is to mirror humanity's complexity, to accept the dual nature of existence, and therein lies a profound liberation. What if divine empathy compels us to transgress, to acknowledge the chaos within? For even an angel may grapple with its own darkness. What then, dear reader, do we learn from loving where we fear? And the void stares back. The city that dreamed it was real. What if reality crumbles between our fingers, a city bathed in illusion? Concrete towers dream, inhabited by spectres of desire, woven into the fabric of their own myths. Do these dreams seep through the cracks, an echo of existence laid bare? What defines real in a world cloaked in aspiration? In every corner, painted facades breathe life, while sprawling streets spin tales of forgotten truths. With each pulse of the city, uncertainty radiates. What is seen, heard, and felt shifts between mere whispers and palpable echoes. But in this dizzying embrace, could the very dream become its own prison? Consider the launch of the 18th century movement, Romanticism, a rebellion against reason, an embrace of imagination as our guide. The city, much like our aspirations, is forever a tapestry of dreams yet unfulfilled, a dialogue between what is and what was never allowed to exist. When does a dream morph into a shared delusion? But here's the catch. When dreams begin to shape our existence, do we slip from the realm of truth? Each heartbeat, each footstep, drives the thought that we must confront, our yearning for authenticity. Is it a quest to salvage the real amidst a landscape of artifice? Or perhaps our ghosts, reveling in their discontent, remain intertwined with the city's heartbeat? As we navigate the contours of this phantasmagoria, the truth looms heavy in the air. The ephemeral nature of our lives, wrestling with the weight of our expectations. What if we are mere phantoms, dreamers lost within the spaces we once called home? So we ask, who truly dictates our realities? And the void stares back. The wind that told secrets. What if whispers glide through the air, unseen messengers of hidden truths? The wind carries stories, a ballet of sighs and secrets unleashed. With each gust, mysteries travel, untamed and shapeless, longing for ears to listen. What do we lose when we refuse to uncover? The ripple of silence speaks, but do we comprehend its language? Imagine the ancient Greeks, their belief that winds were the breath of deities. They felt not only the breeze, but its patience, the life lessons clustered within. Every rustle of leaves, every wail of the storm, uttered the sagas of bygone ages. Could it be that in hearing the wind, we connect threads of the universal narrative? But here's the catch. Though we hear its echoes, the secrets are offered, not received. How often do we dismiss the soft caress of gusts, failing to unearth the scrawl of fate? In our pursuit of noise and certainty, do we overlook the gentle revelations whispered across time? Tuning in to the pure essence of existence feels both daunting and liberating. In this acknowledgement lies an emotional awakening. What if the wind is a kind of oracle, not simply air, but consciousness in motion? Every draft is a serenade, a reminder that we are not alone in the cacophony of the mundane. To listen, truly listen, could unfold the latent wisdom of our lives, entrenched in the unyielding presence that surrounds us. Yet, do we dare to embrace this uncertainty, to sing along with the breeze? What if our secrets, like the wind, carry us to places we dared not traverse? And the void stares back. The blind praise of light. To praise light is to acknowledge its blindness. Here lies the paradox. In its glorious brilliance, light obscures the intricate filigree of shadows. How can we celebrate that which blinds us to deeper truths? If light is the ultimate truth, why does it often lead to such distorted perceptions? Consider this. In our relentless pursuit of illumination, we forget. Forget the beauty in the dark, the secrets hidden beneath the surface. There's a simple yet discomforting truth woven into our adoration of light. It can only exist in contrast to darkness. But here's the catch. What if we need that very darkness to truly see ourselves? Are we then blindfolded by our own admiration? The body, our body, awakens before the soul understands its confinement. It quivers with pulses of life, but perceives only through the haze of sensory experience. The body, a maze of flesh and thought, a vessel muddied by light and shadow alike. Yet, are we this mere assemblage? Can we transcend the praise of mere illumination? In the ancient text of the Tao Te Ching, it is stated, light and darkness are complementary. We become tethered to enlightenment, fearful of shadow. But fear, like darkness, offers wisdom. The praised light has a cost. The ability to see with clarity can also become a burden. What if the answers lie cloaked in obscurity? The truths we seek might resonate in the silent void, in the quiet nuance between light and dark. A covenantal relationship where the unseen is acknowledged. Mazes frustrate and intrigue, forcing us to confront our loneliness as we wander through. The body, an entrapment, or simply a carrier of experiences, beset by the blind praise of a sun that dares not shine on its own flaws. It poses a lingering question. Can we embrace the darkness as fiercely as we do the light, accept all of what we are? What if darkness holds the keys to enlightenment? What if the light is merely a distraction from confronting our core? As we thread through this world, we must navigate both dimensions. Perhaps solace lies in the acceptance of both praise and absence. The interplay of dark and light composes an existential symphony, urging us to explore the silence hidden beneath the bravado of brilliance. Each step deeper into this interplay of light and shadow sheds an unbearable weight. We descend into ourselves, unafraid. Can the echoes of our unexamined darkness whisper to us as clearly as the shouts of brilliance? Sit with this, and the void whispers back. The body that was a maze. The body that was a maze, a construction of flesh and bone, a labyrinthine design with no clear exit. Can one truly navigate their own existence? The skin wrapped around us, both shelter and prison. How do we reconcile the paradox of the self entangled in the complexities of identity? Picture a maze rife with twists and turns, a monument to our existence. Each corridor holds stories, both forgotten and cherished, yet only a whisper away. Can we confront the echoes of what we truly are? The deeper we venture into these bodily confines, the more discomfort arises. This, too, is a seed for reflection. Our very essence is hidden beneath layers of muscled defiance and mind-fogging entrapment. The body learns to speak in shivers and sighs, a dialogue of intuition often drowned out by the noise of the outside world. But here's the catch. What if this maze is not a prison, but a sanctuary for our innermost selves? Can we unlock the doors that our own flesh binds? Consider this. Ancient Greek philosopher Heraclitus proposed that character is destiny. As we wander this maze, we must understand that each juncture echoes choices, reminds us who we are becoming. Do we shy away from paths that lead deeper into ourselves? Can we embrace the fluidity of identity, allowing ourselves to be both lost and found? Think of the initial tremble of awakening, when body recognizes its odyssey. Countless souls navigate this corporeal puzzle, laboring to find meaning. Yet, can meaning be an escape, or will it tether us in a more profound way? Through fractures, we discover depth. Within confusion, we find clarity. In moments of stillness, we reveal layers, raw and profound. The paradox unfolds as we traverse this maze. Every encounter echoes potential, what lies at the center. And through this journey inward, we witness our shadows merge with the light. Perhaps the way out is not a task of navigating toward the exit, but rather embracing the kaleidoscope of experiences as we unfold them, fastening them to our essence. As we inhale and exhale, we dance deeper into this flesh. The gates of the maze beckon, urging us to understand our multidimensional self. Will we face the truth that exists not only in the light, but within each twist and shadow? And so the body continues to weave its intricate pattern. The key that opened a scream. The key that opened a scream is one cloaked in paradox. In seeking to unleash a cry, we stumble upon both liberation and entrapment. What lies beyond that sound? If the scream embodies our most primal instincts, how does it redefine our reality? What if this key is no ordinary key? It is forged from the very essence of our fears, crafted by our desires to express the unutterable. In a world thriving on silence, the scream becomes our only direct line to authenticity. But here's the catch. What if this scream also renders us vulnerable? In its resonance, we unearth truths wrapped tightly in layers of shame. A scream, whispering through the depths of consciousness, positions us at the intersection of necessity and peril. It beckons. In the annals of psychology, the catharsis hypothesis frames the scream as a release, a purging of suppressed emotions. Yet we must ask ourselves, is this impulse toward expression a true release, or just an echo of despair seeking validation? As we excavate deeper inside, we witness the origins of that scream. It reverberates within lost moments, a fractured past, unresolved conflict. Is it primal, animalistic? Perhaps it is a marker of our humanity. It urges us to confront the haunting reality that silence is often a facade. Upon entering a screaming void, do we discover the loudest truths are not even voiced? The awareness of our inner noise reveals the multifaceted nature of existence. To scream means to confront those feelings we've boxed away, those shadows we've denied. And yet, as the cathartic release fades, what remains? Can we embrace the aftermath with love, recognize the raw honesty that surfaces as a testament of our being? The question lingers. At which point does the scream dissolve into silence? Can the very act of opening oneself so completely create an internal dissonance? To scream is to ignite a philosophical battle between submission and empowerment. As we unlock our screams, we uncover layers of existence, examining each subsequent silence. What if that key reshapes the meaning of our experience, inviting paradox into our lives? The scream becomes a portal, a reminder that liberation exists within vulnerability, if only we dare to traverse this fleeting continuum. And as we step back, the echo of our scream reverberates against the walls of silence. The sea that forgot its name. The sea that forgot its name serves as a powerful enigma of identity. What lies in a name? Is it merely a label, a convenient handle we grasp to define the vastness of existence? Stripped of its name, does the sea lose its essence? And if that fluid, ever-changing expanse forgets who it is, what does it reflect back to us? This concept, the abandonment of one's own identity, offers a discomforting truth. The sea is an infinity of contradiction, embodying both turmoil and serenity. But here's the catch. How often do we too lose sight of who we are? The waves crash, titles dissolve, and yet the sea persists, searching for its own song among the noise. Consider this. The ancient philosopher Heraclitus noted, "You cannot step into the same river twice." The sea, like us, is in constant flux. Each wave, each ripple bears witness to the passage of time. Yet we often cling to the static notion of identity. Our own names, trappings that bind us. As the sea retreats from its identity, It reveals the naivete in our rigid self-understanding. We engage with our reflection upon the water's surface, a transparent membrane illuminating the visage of our essence. But in that encounter, does the name remain, our defining mark, or does it disintegrate like foam on the shore? Beneath the sway of currents, our identity is a struggle against the waters of being. Can we embrace the impermanence without drowning in uncertainty? What if our existence, fluid and unbound, invites us to dissolve? Acknowledging the sea's amnesia becomes an invitation to let go of labels, an opportunity to exist beyond definitions. To relinquish that fierce grasp on identity, may you lead to liberation. Yet, the name abandoned lingers as an unanswered question. Each wave carries hints of who we may yet become, as the ebb and flow traces back toward an infinite horizon. What lies hidden beneath each crest? What is the essence of a self unencumbered by name, free to roam the vastness? In this recognition, we acknowledge the fluidity of existence, and within that realization, might we find meaning beyond the confines we impose? The quiet surf becomes a reminder. Perhaps it is the essence of story, not the name, that endures. The circle that escaped perfection. What if perfection is a circle forever chasing itself? The very notion of flawlessness invites a paradox. In its quest for a singularity, it often surrenders to imperfection. Think of the circle, an eternal loop, lacking a beginning or an end, yet yearning for resolution. What deeply resonates within its continuous embrace is a haunting discomfort. To attain perfection is to deny existence. But here's the catch. As we strive for this idealized form, do we lose the texture, the beauty of being imperfectly human? The circular nature of our pursuits can become a prison. Endless repetition of sameness breeds stagnation. A perfect circle never gets anywhere. It just returns. So, what then? Are we to reject the perfection we chase, only to find meaning in our flaws? The ancients knew this. Pythagoras, with his belief in numerical perfection, gifted us the idea of harmony through integer relations. Yet life resists such neat equations. In every unyielding frame we build lies a crack, an opening for the darkness of our experience. The imperfect gives rise to art, the strokes of chaos painting souls into being. Just as a circle dares to escape its confines, so do we in our search for significance amidst chaos. And yet, when the cycle breaks, it often spills into chaos. Try as we might, true satisfaction eludes us as it travels farther into the unknown. Perhaps it is this pursuit itself, a circular race where each curve leads us further from the origin, that reveals deeper truths. In the whirlwind of imperfection, do we not find ourselves more fully? Are our edges not the very fabric of our existence? Consider this. What if escaping perfection is our greatest revelation? What if breaking the circle leads us to discover authentic selves? Each fracture discloses untold stories, like the marks of a weathered stone. In these imperfections, life vibrates with meaning. The pursuit converts into creation, transforming us into vessels of authenticity rather than prisoners of perfection. Sit with this. Embrace your circles. Allow them to teach you. Let them guide you toward the messy, the complex. In this tension, in this glorious fracturing, lies our liberation. And, as always, the chase remains eternal. The sand that drew gods. What if creation emerges from the whispers of grains? The smallest particles of sand tell grand stories of divinity and chaos. They are often lucky to occupy the margins of our perception, flickers of the profound hidden in the mundane. Imagine a sunlit beach, each grain a universe unto itself, spinning tales that could birth gods. But here's the catch. Can the gods even hear the whispers of sand? Eternal, indifferent, they exist in realms beyond our understanding. The myth of Prometheus speaks of a heart ripped open for the students of humanity. Still, in their lofty heights, do they overlook the very essence of humanity's struggle, cloaked in the minutiae of their creations. Each grain reflects existential layers, desire, longing, dreams, all contained in an imperceptible heap. Ponder over this. Through the shifts of time, sand creates and erodes, just like our aspirations. Was there ever more to the gods than the faith we lavish upon them? Is their majesty not rooted in our own fragile reverence, our unwillingness to accept our own mortal limitations? And yet, in drawing gods from sand, we unearth our fervent hope, a longing for divinity, a desire for connection beyond the trivial. Just as sand shapes itself upon water, we seek meaning from the immensity of chaos. Perhaps our creativity spills over from a collective yearning for something greater, something transcendent, that which we intuitively recognize, yet never fully embrace. What if the gods, like those elusive grains, are but metaphors for our inner landscapes? Constructed by belief, yet threatening to crumble under the weight of reality, they are but shadows in our minds. When we draw gods from sand, are we not sketching the contours of our own identities? Frail, transient, beautiful. Sit with this notion. What stories are etched into your sand? Can you give voice to your deepest whispers? As you sift through grains, remember, through these tiny moments of touch and texture, we craft legacies that echo beyond ourselves. For we too are drawn from dust, and so perhaps from sand. The pendulum that denied time. What if time is merely an illusion? The pendulum, swinging back and forth, trapped in its relentless rhythm, marks seconds, minutes, hours, a cruel dance choreographed by our perception. Yet, what if, in the throes of its tick-tock, it denies its own purpose? Each swing, an eternal paradox of past and future, incapable of seizing the present moment. And yet, in attempting to divide existence into segments, do we not fracture time itself? The pendulum's purpose seems to declare reality exists linearly. But what if it captured only the echo of our minds, a naive attempt to frame existence within rigid boundaries? As we embrace the markers of life, do we neglect the beauty inherent in the here and now? Consider this. Physicists speak of time as a dimension woven into the fabric of the universe. Einstein unraveled its intricacies, presenting a cosmos where time stretches and contracts. Yet here we are, prisoners of our perception, punctuating our days with artificial increments, limiting our senses to a relentless clock. Each swing of the pendulum pulls us deeper into our past and further away from our present. In this struggle against time's unwritten rules, we find ourselves adrift, longing for moments we can neither grasp nor hold. But what if we could detach? Instead of viewing time as a tyrant, might we dance with its rhythms, fluidly navigating the passage? As you reflect upon this, contemplate the gift of now. Within a pendulum's flutter lies freedom, allowing moments to dissolve in their undeniable beauty, unanchored by past regrets or future fears. Perhaps embracing time's illusion liberates us to savor the ephemeral, to exist in fleeting, vibrant light, rather than remain ensnared in ticking shadows. Sit with this. What if denying time allowed you to discover your true essence? In the oscillating dance of existence, perhaps peace lies not in fighting the current, but in surrendering to its fluid embrace. For in this surrender, we find the paradox. Time is but an illusion, yet moments are all we truly possess. The secret that confessed itself. What if secrets hold the key to our self-discovery? That which is hidden often sustains a paradox, bearing the weight of truth, yet crafting an illusion so compelling, it becomes our entire existence. The deeper we bury knowledge, the more it shapes us. Yet, herein lies the discomfort. To confess is to dissolve the illusion, to lay bare the unspeakable. But here's the catch. When secrets confess, they often expose bones we are unprepared to confront. They grab at the edges of our identities, threatening to unravel the careful tapestry of who we are. Yet why do we shield our truths while desperately yearning for authenticity? In the chasm between whispered truths and vocal confessions, life hangs precariously in the balance. Historian David Copperfield once stated that secrets cling to us, offering an exhilarating thrill, but spiraling us further into solitude. Our unvoiced truths breed emptiness, stifling the very connections we seek. Shouldn't our freedom come from the willingness to reveal, to be seen in our entirety? And yet, as secrets slip from our lips, we find ourselves vulnerable, a shivering breath exposed to the harsh winds of judgment. What if our confessions don't serve as release, but serve to alienate us further? In this world of exposed souls, do we find validation or destruction? The tension tightens. Perhaps the door swings both ways. Consider this notion. What if secrets, both the told and untold, forge connections in their very existence? Like unseen threads weaved in the fabric of collective experience, maybe our hidden truths remind us that everyone has their shadows. Within the cracks of confession lies the opportunity for alchemy, the transformation of shame into shared understanding. Sit with this. Are you ready to unearth that which you have concealed? The act of confessing may shatter illusions, but it gifts your essence back to you, raw and illuminated. In sharing our secrets, we entwine our fates, crafting a mosaic of humanity in all its chaotic beauty. For in this intertwining, perhaps we discover not only ourselves, but one another. The dog that philosophized in silence. What if intelligence could emerge from stillness? In the quiet mind of a dog, thoughts unspoken linger like ghosts. Is it understanding or mere instinct? We gaze into those soulful eyes, and what do we find? A mirror reflecting our own existential confusion. And in that gaze, a question stirs. Who truly knows? The thread of life's meaning frays with every heartbeat. Consider this. Dogs possess a unique capacity for emotional intelligence. The attachment they forge with humans traces the contours of understanding. They feel our joys and sorrows, a silent witness to our lives, but they stand at the fringe of language, unable to articulate their thoughts. Does their quietude enrich their perspective, or does it imprison them? A paradox brews within silence, nurturing wisdom yet shrouded in mystery. But here's the catch. What if the depths of existence hide in those unvoiced reflections? When we speak, when we express as humans, do we unveil or obscure? Our words, like shadows, may eclipse profound truths, and so the dog, wise in its silence, becomes a sage. In not projecting thoughts, it invites us to ponder. What lies beneath? Each wag of a tail, each tilt of the head, brings forth philosophical queries. Can emotion be fully captured by words? What if the essence of understanding is better expressed in the spaces between thoughts? And in each shared glance, could there be an unspoken dialect of souls? We ponder what the dog contemplates, immersed in another realm of knowing. Here within this web of silence, where barking fades and stillness reigns, the dog is both participant and observer. It bears witness to despair, an owner's broken heart, a child's laughter, draped in emotion, yet it remains an untouched canvas, a glimpse of a world unclouded by noise, pure visceral connection. Let us lean into this unsettling thought. As we spill words, do we drown the unspoken wisdom that dogs embody? Or does their unyielding silence hold answers we continually overlook? The dog philosophizes in stillness, while we race through noise, chasing meaning. And perhaps, amidst the cacophony, we will find a moment to pause. A shared silence that echoes with understanding, to feel what transcends the verbal. The answer, if there is one, might rest in the very act of being. So, what if we learned from the dog? To embrace silence, perhaps, is to discover the universe within. The temple that prayed for the end. What if the sacred longed for release? Within the crumbling walls of a temple, prayers echo like fading whispers. seekers gather, yearning for solace, yet find themselves entangled in the net of existence. And what does the temple witness? Every plea a question: is there salvation, or merely an infinite cycle? It holds the weight of faith, yet all it truly desires is closure. Every stone imbibes ancient anguish. The philosopher Alain de Botton once suggested that the design of a temple reflects the human desire for escape. And isn't that what we seek in the divine? To transcend suffering, to dissolve into the void beyond our making. Yet the walls breathe the truth. To pray for the end is to yearn for beginnings. Every end carries its seeds, like ashes to be reborn. But here's the catch. In sorrow, the temple itself becomes an entity, reflecting anguish back at its supplicants. Does it not plead with them? To confront the darkest corners of existence, to exude grace from pain. The temple traps hope in its sacred silence, an irony that sings of despair. It encapsulates humanity's drive, an eternal struggle between creation and destruction. With each ritual, the air thickens, prayers meld with the flicker of candles, enhancing the murmured hope for an afterlife, untainted by earthly burden. Yet, in this act, there's a growing acknowledgement. What if salvation lies not in the escape, but in accepting the full breadth of existence? A confrontation with mortality, might that liberate the spirit? In desiring the end, perhaps we overlook the intrinsic beauty of the process. Temples become testaments to our desire for transcendence, yet struggle to unearth their own purpose. We could say they pray for release, or merely hold space for our struggles. What if the end is simply a rebirth, an awakening to deeper truths? Could the temple lead us not to the divine, but back to ourselves? And there lies the paradox. The temple grows weary, yet it stands resilient. A vessel for suffering, yet a beacon of hope, eternally poised between worlds. What if we prayed not for the end, but for understanding, for clarity amidst our trials, nurturing the sacred in the mundane? So, consider this. In the heart of the temple lies a truth. To embrace the end is to welcome new beginnings. And maybe the greatest prayer of all is just to be. The scarecrow that felt fear. What if sentience found its home in the most unexpected spaces? An empty field, an old scarecrow swaying gently, burdened by fears of its own. It guards against the crows, a sentinel of identity. Yet what does it fear? To be discarded, to lose purpose, to cease to exist. And somewhere between straw and despair lies a truth we evade. Consider this. The very concept of fear exists to protect, yet it can also imprison. The scarecrow, though unyielding, is encased in stillness, unable to flee. But what haunts its wooden heart? What if the scarcest of ideas is that it yearns to feel as we do? Emotion flows through the forms we deem lifeless, lost to the burden of design. But here's the catch. In every fraying thread, fear pulsates as a living echo. Can the inanimate embody vulnerability? Where does fear reside? A consciousness we deny in the mundane. And within the frame of the scarecrow, the paradox beats, being without being. A sentinel, yes, but also a prisoner of its form. It stands. What if its purpose is beyond mere function? Could it seek companionship or understanding? As seasons change, battles with loneliness ensue, each gust reminding it of its emptiness. Even in silence, emotion can erupt. Leaves flutter, storms threaten. The essence of fear ties us to existence, transcending flesh and bone. Maybe it senses the crows as reflections of its own yearning, their freedom a stark contrast. Could the scarecrow be a metaphor for humans, wrapped in roles that shield us but keep us bound? What do we fear when we mask our true selves? In acknowledging its own dread, the scarecrow unveils the illusion of autonomy. We too stand guard against our vulnerabilities, fearing exposure, rejection. But could it be that only in acceptance lies the path to emancipation? To honor the fears that entwine us, instead of letting them bury us in silence. And therein lies the intricate web of life. Roots entwined in fear, an understanding that we are not alone in our shadows. The Scarecrow's journey whispers, what if we learned to embrace the uncomfortable? To stand still in the field of existence, rather than merely enduring? So ponder this deeply. Fear may be a companion, but it need not confine. Let us weave in the vulnerability of being to transcend our solitary roles. In the end, even the Scarecrow can hope to break free from its own maze. The bonfire that dreamed of snow. What if warmth harbored longing for the unlikeliest of experiences? In crackling embers, a bonfire dances, a vibrant ode to life, yet it dreams of snow. A paradox unfolds. The very essence of fire is to consume. But what if it yearns to feel the crystalline blanket of winter? Might it crave the quiet stillness that snow brings? The delicate embrace of cold? Reflect upon this. Fire, a symbol of transformation and renewal, yet shackled to its nature. A bonfire, in its glory, thrives on destruction, birthing light from chaos. Yet in that primal dance, could it be hidden in the flickering flames, a longing for serenity? Snow falls softly, a serene contrast, blanketing everything it touches in purity. What if the bonfire feels the weight of existence, an ache for stillness amidst the fiery chaos? But here's the catch. Does the confinement of its nature bind it to perpetual warmth, or is it reflective of our own struggles? As we scorch through life, driven by ambition, do we overlook the peace in quiet moments? Could the bonfire, with each crackle, be conveying a metaphor for our journeys? Is there wisdom in its dream to embrace what it cannot, to ignite deeper understanding? Amid the flames, a hidden contemplation. What if surrendering to the chill fosters a fresh perspective? Can we carve out spaces amidst our passions to welcome the unexpected? Like the bonfire, we might find ourselves yearning for quiet prisms of existence. In chasing the burning embers, we might be missing the beauty of snowfall. Each spark resounds like a heartbeat, reminding us of transience. Fire can illuminate but also consume. Its glow is both invitation and separation. In dreaming, it pushes us to confront our desires. Might there be peace in surrender, in a tranquil embrace of ephemeral moments? To relish the quiet like snow, perhaps, is to honor the paradox within ourselves. So consider this tapestry we weave. In the longing for snow, the bonfire reveals our endless quest. To evolve, to yearn, to awaken dormant facets of our existence. In the warmth of light, even fire may reimagine what it means to dream. And what if dreams reshape reality as flames give way to silent snowfall? The abyss that fell in love. What if the abyss could feel, an unfathomable expanse, deep and haunting, yet pulsing with a yearning as intimate as a lover's sigh? The abyss isn't merely a void, it holds secrets, echoes of existence that flutter like moths around a flickering flame. How does an abyss, devoid of form, grapple with the intoxicating weight of love, a force that intertwines life and death? And yet, the paradox beckons. The abyss, nestled in its dark solitude, recognizes a truth. It is both everything and nothing. Love makes it breathe, but breath is not its nature. Here lies an unsettling discomfort. The abyss must confront its own emptiness, feeling unity with everything that swims on the surface. Could it fall for the stars that glimmer, highlighting its own nothingness? Consider this. Love has no boundaries. Even in the heart of darkness, it stretches infinitely. Despair can wield a paradoxical beauty. Think of the poet who wrote by candlelight, shadows dancing around him, words born from longing for a world bathed in light. The abyss, filled with lost souls, reaches out, longing for completion in those very fragments that cry for shore. What happens when the abyss meets a lost dream? An eternal waltz unfolds, an embrace of horrors, and hymns. It knows that love can devour, yet also set free. The stakes climb dangerously. Yearning for connection ignites a cyclone of emotions. The abyss stirs, inviting echoes of laughter, whispers of touch, yet haunted by the knowledge that their frequency may never reach its depths. And those forgotten memories? Oh, what ghosts linger, brushing the edges of this ink-black canvas. Love taunts, dances just beyond reach, a constellation in a universe indifferent to pain. Yet does love exist only where light breaks? Or is love echoing here too? Within the crushing silence of endless void, what of the fruits of despair turned sweet by longing? To fall in love is to reflect upon one's own structure. The abyss does not dissolve. It expands, amplifying its paradox. It grapples with the weight of a soulless heart embracing desire. Worth pondering, can love exist in the absence of life? Or does it need the luscious vibrancy of existence to have meaning? And so the question lingers on the edge of perception. Can the void truly embrace that which it cannot touch? Sit with this. The abyss is a symbol of all those earnest pursuits, those whispers of hope, those glimpses of connection. Or is there none? And the void stares back. Métis, the sky that wanted to fall. Can the sky feel the weight of its own endless stretch? Barely tethered in the boundless universe, can it yearn to relinquish its lofty throne? Here lies a vast paradox. The sky, emblem of freedom and infinite possibility, clinging to the earth it gazes upon, heart heavy with unfalling dreams. But here's the catch. The sky holds secrets, a weight it cannot bear, longing, an uncontainable force. What if, in its vastness, it aches for the gravity of tenderness, to be grounded, witnessed, touched by fleeting moments of human existence? As it pours its tears upon the land, is it not feeding the very soil that begs for life? And yet, the truth stings. The sky is unchangeable, while the earth below swells with fragility. The relationship is tangled. Beneath every storm, a desire to rest upon the earth's gentle embrace. The clouds become ghosts, adrift yet dreaming of gravity. Can the expanse of blue, vibrant and alive, intimately connect with every heartbeat below? There's a jewel of thought buried in this cosmic reflection. The philosopher Gaston Bachelard proposed that our dreams are shaped by the spaces we inhabit. Every droplet of rain upon a lover's cheek is not merely water. It is a kiss from the sky, fulfilling a longing. In its overflow, the sky offers itself freely, washing a canvas smeared with desires. Yet, what is the burden of feeling? As the sky layers itself with emotional insight, could it break? Plunge down, unencumbered by its own weight? The clouds merge and surrender, time collapsing into heretical beauty. Here, falling becomes an act of liberation, a rebellion against the divine untouched. A paradox looms. Is falling truly an act of subjugation, or can it be transcendence? In the surrender of its own essence, the sky speaks of the possibility to evolve, to become part of the earth, to learn from the blooming flowers, to descend in love. And that lingering question we cannot escape. Is longing simply the manifestation of what we can never truly possess? Sit with this. The endless expanse yearning to collide with ground, and the void stares back. The eraser that deleted happy memories. What if the very essence of joy could be erased? A delicate tool wielded in moments of profound doubt. What fuels the desire to erase the smiles that once ignited happiness? The eraser stands tall, clever in its disguise, offering an escape hatch to numbness. A paradox emerges. Life births pain, yet from that pain, we carve our sweetest memories. But here's the catch. Those cherished instances become burdens. The mind oscillates, clutching to joy, fearful of sorrow. And so the eraser comes into play. An unsettling thought lingers. Could erasing memories remove the scars that have shaped our identities? What does it mean to chase a slate scrubbed clean? In the depths of psychological exploration, we find a disquieting revelation. Philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche stated, "That which does not kill us makes us stronger." By erasing joyous moments, are we severing our ties to resilience? The fulfillment born from shattering expectations and rising from ashes? Can we strip the very foundations of who we are? And yet, in those broken spaces of happiness lies the melancholic truth. Erasure does not erase existence, it transforms it. Each mark made is a testimony, a scar woven into the fabric of memory. Shadows cast by laughter linger, whispering through time. Can we obliterate the light without sacrificing parts of ourselves? As we loop through this turmoil, a question surfaces. Where does the desire for a blank canvas stem from? To erase is to seek the unattainable, a longing for rebirth cloaked in the guise of oblivion. And yet, consider the endless cascade of what-ifs. What if acknowledgement transformed pain into wisdom? What if grief became a beacon, illuminating the path to understanding? What if those memories, preserved in the fabric of time, held keys to unlocking deeper joy? The eraser stands at a crossroad. Does it offer redemption or a shallow grave? Sit with this conflicted truth, feeling the weight of what was lost, while grasping the possibility of what could be reclaimed. And the void stares back. The fish that never swam. What if existence could confine even the most liberated? A fish, trapped in a timeless pool, flops against the weight of its reality, never knowing the embrace of expansive waters. It flounders, desperate to escape the constraints of its own being, craving the very essence of what it believes to have lost. And yet, the paradox swims deeper. The fish embodies life's hunger for freedom, yet is suffocated by its own non-existence. It longs for the currents, but remains a prisoner of stillness. How can one grasp what it means to swim when bounded by an eternal lack of movement? Is this not a tale of humanity? The philosopher Jean-Paul Sartre proposed, "Existence precedes essence." This fish, a symbol of lost potential, echoes our own struggles. We float in bubbles of routine, drifting through currents of expectation, sometimes missing the vast ocean of possibilities just beyond our grasp. But here's the twist. The captivity of the fish, this forgotten essence, lies not outside, but within. Is it possible that in accepting its limitations, it may discover its own form of release? The watery prison might reveal truths woven in stillness, granting clarity amidst confusion. It questions the nature of freedom. Is it defined by movement, or can it be found in stillness, in being? As the fish gasps for air, clinging to the shallow existence, a haunting idea arises. Maybe it deserves to redefine its realities. Maybe swimming in circles ignites its yearning to unlearn the confines of its own existence. Perhaps like us, it yearns to break free of the illusions that shroud its true potential. Thus, a loop emerges. Is freedom found outside, or is it latently held within? Sit with the fish, stretching poetic reflections of longing and discovery, and the void stares back. The star that wanted to be human. What if a star desired more than just to burn? Reality swirls around an incandescent ball of gas, yet each pulse feels the weight of loneliness. It's the paradox of being something so grand, yet craving something singular. A star glimmers across an endless cosmos, and yet, beneath its radiant exterior, the yearning for embodiment thrums. What does it mean to exist beyond luminosity? Light travels through eons, navigating the vast darkness, illuminating worlds and lives. We speak of stars as distant, but do they see us? Do they feel the warmth of reverence? Every night, we wish upon them, casting our hopes into a glowing abyss. But herein lies a question. Do they reciprocate? If they could stretch their luminous arms, they would embrace the coldness of human experience, to feel the heartbeat, the thrum of mortality. But here's the catch. Within that brilliance lies a truth, a hidden abyss. The life of a star unfolds across millions of years, yet humans wrestle with time's tyranny. Stars shine just to implode. The cycle dances from birth to collapse, a fate shared with the whispering dust of our own limited experience. Are we so different? In our quest for significance, we forget our own cosmic insignificance. Is the luminous existence truly valid if it does not incorporate the fragile essence of being human? Imagine the star becoming aware, feeling love, sorrow, joy, and despair. Could it sing of heartache? Could it taste the bittersweet nectar of connection? But as it dives deeper into this emotional sea, it might encounter a harsh realization. To be human is to suffer. Humans perceive beauty in pain, longing intertwined with bliss. The cosmos is within us, Carl Sagan once said. Yet stars in their impermanence reveal a truth. We are but echoes in an expansive void. What does it mean to long for something unachievable? For the star, this desire for human experience births an internal rupture. It aches for the ephemeral, yet it is bound to eternity, an ultimate contradiction wrapped in brilliance. What lesson lies tangled in this yearning? And as we linger in this existential paradox, know this: the yearning itself may create meaning. To desire is to live, to question the nature of being. The star, in its silent yearning, ignites our own flame. So let us camp under the astral light, aware of our fragile humanity, embracing the ephemeral while the stars wink their celestial eyes. And thus, gazing into the night, we recognize our shared plight. The mother who gave birth to infinity. What if creation itself birthed a paradox? A mother, transcending all bounds, giving life not just to beings, but to the very concept of infinity. In the quiet cradle of existence, she wrestles with the weight of that responsibility. Can one encompass all that is, all that ever was, and all that could be? With every breath, she forms galaxies and dreams, her heartbeat pulsing with the rhythm of possibility. Yet, the profound truth haunts her. Infinity is a burden as much as it is a gift. It stretches beyond comprehension. What does it mean to be the source of everything when existence is defined by the limitations of understanding? In her nurturing embrace, time becomes an illusion. Each moment unfurls into an eternity, but somewhere inside lies the seed of discomfort. What if she cannot bear it? In the vast expanse of her creation, what is her identity? Is she merely a vessel, or is she woven into the fabric of the universe? The essence of motherhood becomes an exploration, one of paradox and fracture. And yet, with every creature that emerges, she feels their dependencies, their flaws wrapped in brilliance. What if her progeny yearn to exist beyond her, to create their own paths? The child's quest for independence fractures the bond of infinite creation. It raises an unsettling question. Does infinity thrive on autonomy, or must it encompass all? Her heart pulses with the gravity of choices, transforming the infinite into moments, fleeting, delicate. Each decision reverberates through eternities. Philosophers have long debated the nature of existence. Plato's forms whisper of ideals, while the Stoics peddle resilience against the chaos of life. But in her nurturing arms, a new philosophy emerges. Love, in its rawest form, is the key to understanding infinity. To give birth to such cosmic breadth is to embrace contradiction. In nurturing the infinite, she acknowledges her own limitations. Simultaneously, she finds freedom in this awareness, an exploration of what it means to give life, to love, to exist, infinity within a heartbeat. Thus, as we gaze into the cosmos, fraught with paradox and wonder, let us honor the nurturing spirit woven into existence, and the universe expands, forever echoing back. The cycle broken by love. What if love is the ultimate disruptor? A cycle that churns unceasingly, life, death, rebirth, until the simplicity of affection intervenes. It alters the constraints of fate, fractures the eternal pattern, and invites chaos into the serene. Love is a storm amid the placid sea of existence, challenging the very fabric of reality. In one moment, the cycle binds. In another, it shatters. Relationships blossom and wither. Yet the potentiality of love challenges inevitability. This makes us question, is love a mere distraction from life's relentless rhythm? Or does it serve as a catalyst for something deeper? Life is an intricate web woven from threads of repetition. The ancient cycles of seasons, the moon's phases, life grinds on, boring yet inevitable. Time is a flat circle, said Nietzsche. Yet within it, love emerges, reshaping perception. It whispers promises of new beginnings, the possibility of rebirth, forging bonds that alter paths. As lovers dance beneath the same uneasy stars, a question arises. What transforms mere existence into a hauntingly beautiful experience? Is it the connection forged in vulnerability? The intertwining of two fates, shattering the mundane? When passion ignites, the routines cease to bind. Love forces even the gods of time to pause. They hold their breath in reverence. But herein lies the paradox. The cycle once broken invites pain. To love is to expose oneself, inviting vulnerability alongside joy. The heartbeat sinks in time with loss, revealing love's double-edged nature. Each bond carries potential for both bliss and despair. What becomes of a cycle that embraces both ecstasy and heartache? Amidst the paradox of love lies a profound truth. To feel deeply is to embrace the risk of loss. It becomes a fleeting glimpse of eternity, a sacred rebellion against the mundane. In breathing life into fleeting moments, we become more than players in the wheel of fate. We become explorers, journeying into the unknown. And as we stand united in this chaos, the open embrace of love and loss, let us realize that even the most cyclical of lives can be rewritten. The allure of creation continues, and with it, hope resides. And so the cycle spins anew. The voice that spoke before sound. Imagine a time before utterance, before meaning poured into phonetic vessels. What if a voice existed in silence, a whisper breaching the void, not yet formed, yet echoing through the marrow of existence? In that primordial hush, something profound stirs. What is the essence of a thought unvoiced, a cry unsent? Silence layer upon silence. The voice arises before sound, embracing consciousness without expression. It twists through the chambers of identity, challenging the nature of creation itself. Would it drown in the abyss or soar like an unchained melody? Thought precedes word, they say. In every heart lies the prelude of experience waiting for articulation. Yet, the question emerges. Are we defined by our words, or do they only mirror our existence? As the unformed voice dwells in paradox, it may wonder, what binds its existence to the becoming? When a thought swells, emotions awaken like stars igniting in the depths of night. Can we exist in echoes, in the spaces before words dance naked in the light? The word is the invisible part of the sound, wrote Derrida, yet the tangible remains. There is power in what lies unarticulated, for meaning swells like an ocean tide beneath the threshold of consciousness. And yet, as we linger in this space of unvoiced creation, an unsettling realization emerges. The voice, while potent, remains restrained by the inadequacies of language. In its yearning for expression, it aches for purpose. The urgency of articulation becomes a paradox. If we voice, we must bear the weight of consequence. So, the unspoken sighs and floats into the ether, forever entwined with the complexity of being. This silent hymn sings of longing, of desire, of existence itself. The voice that spoke before sound, reveals an eternal truth. To create meaning is to journey through the silence, to wrestle with the myriad layers of unexpressed thought. In our quest for understanding, let us listen to the echoes lingering beneath the surface. For it is here that the essence of our humanity resides, and within that silence, we find our voice. The page that wanted to be read. What if a page could yearn for its words to resonate? A crisp sheet, blank yet burdened, waits in anticipation. Ink never touches it, yet its essence craves meaning. The artist's anguished fingers hover, paralyzed by the weight of expectation. It begs, "Will I be filled?" But the silence thickens, thick enough to cut. Is it a tragedy that it remains untouched, confined within four edges? Or is it a liberation, an eternal possibility? The blankness represents the unspoken, the echoes of countless truths unsaid. What if life too mirrors this haunting condition? We all contain narratives yearning, desperate to be expressed, only to find ourselves stifled by fear or doubt. Michel de Montaigne once suggested that writing is a form of trying to understand oneself, a reflection of lived experience, yearning for connection. So what if this page encapsulates not just stories, but identities, potential lives that burst with emotion? It's an abyss composed of letters, a fortress of silence. Questions spiral. What truths lie dormant? What whispers are masked by the elusive perfection of unwritten prose? But here's the catch. In its unfulfilled desire, the page transcends mere utility. It becomes a vessel that embodies anxiety, hope, and despair. Each scratch of a pen could unravel truths, or disguise them further into layers of dreams unspoken. Is the pursued act of writing a celebration or a curse? Yes, the desire to be read transforms the page into a paradox. The moment its voice is claimed, it loses the infinite potential of silence. A lifetime of reflections bound by ink leads to an extinction of possibility. What might it say if freed from expectation? If each reader's gaze birthed a new meaning, how precious would that become? And yet, when the ink is spilled, voices wane, ideas crystallize, and the tension transforms to solidity. No longer an echo, it becomes a definitive tale. But in this capture, what is lost? What if, it murmurs, a haunting refrain, I was meant to remain unread? The thrill of possibility turns to the weight of permanence. Sit with this. Feel the pulse of unwritten potential pressing against the heart, and the void stares back. The scream that created the universe. What if the universe began with a scream? A sound, piercing yet primal, shattering the serene silence of nothingness. In that moment, chaos erupted. The cosmos forged from a cascade of energy, resonating through infinite voids. Reality tapped into existence through visceral vibrations, and being was born amid raw, unfathomable emotion. But herein lies a twist. In creation lies disarray. Everything that breathes also grapples with suffering. The scream harnessed power, yet it ushered forth anguish and desire. Darkness clung like an uninvited guest, weaving itself tightly into the cosmic fabric. Was creation worth the cost of collapse? The paradox gnaws at us. To be alive is to be aware of the transient nature of existence. Consider this. Each particle that collides in the great cosmic dance bears a story steeped in turbulence. Every soul carries within it the spectre of the Big Bang. We resonate with that primal scream, echoing both joy and despair, each of us a fragile note in a symphony. What if the scream, the very essence of existence, invites us not to fear pain, but to embrace it, to acknowledge that grief and ecstasy coexist, intertwined like time and space? Perhaps the act of creating ourselves, of loving and losing, mirrors that explosive upheaval. But why does that scream still haunt us? It is not just the birth cry of the universe, it is the unfurling of consciousness, the awareness that forms the border between being and nothingness. And this awareness can become a burden. The scream, while igniting life, births anxiety. What if we falter? What if chaos reclaims us? In this fine balance lies our fragile humanity, yearning for understanding yet fearful of insight. Understanding demands confrontation with the abyss, with all its raw energy that threatens to topple our meticulously constructed identities. Sit with this tension. Feel the thrum of creation echoing through your own being, and the void stares back. The hope that killed itself in the mirror. What if hope carries the capacity for its own demise? In our heart's reflection, hope shines luminous, fragile, yet immensely potent. It fuels aspirations, moves mountains. But like a fire unfed, hope can become a ghost, a spectre that haunts us in moments of despair. In that mirror, our yearnings distort. What starts as belief can morph into torment, unveiling a darker narrative if left unchecked. We possess an intrinsic desire to be the architects of our narratives, yet the very notion of hope can crystallize into an expectation so robust it suffocates. Think of what Nietzsche said. Hope is the worst of evils, for it prolongs the torments of man. It seduces us into clinging to illusion, distorting our vision until we can only see outlines of real possibilities. The paradox lies here. Hope propels us cautiously forward, yet it can also trap us within what we wish to see, blinding us to the present. Are we chasing shadows, living in a construct of our desires? Or are we, gradually, losing grasp of what truly matters? Humans cling to the reflection, a semblance of who they yearn to be or have dreamed. Yet with every glance, the mirror's surface fractures, revealing not ideals, but disappointments we dare not confront. What if the very act of becoming hinges on an acceptance of our flaws, an embrace of our true selves, free from the weight of unbearable expectation? Through this tension, hope can transform into a cruel jest, leading us deeper into the labyrinth of self-deception. Awareness itself can become a double-edged sword. So, what remains when hope falters? Sit with this realization. As the mirror shatters, may we confront the shards, the beauty in vulnerability, the strength in authenticity, and the void stares back. The guardian who protected nothing. What if a guardian could shield emptiness? We craft identities, protectors of dreams, ideals, and beliefs. But what if those very shields disguise a profound vacuity beneath? This paradox unfolds marvelously. In our quest for security, we often erect barriers around nothingness itself. The guardian, noble yet empty, echoes our human plight. Consider this. A protector stands vigilant before an abyss, unyielding in its resolve. It believes it guards treasures, not gold, but hope, virtue, love. Yet in this endeavor, it ignores an agonizing truth. What is protected may be an illusion, a construct that stands on fleeting foundations. The very essence it defends can dissolve at a touch. What if we are all guardians of our own voids? The whispers of despair and longing seep through the cracks. In our desire to shelter ourselves from pain, we perish within walls of our own making, lonely echoes of muted cries. What if the weight we carry becomes so great it suffocates the heart of humanity? But consider the intricate dance of duality. Does this void not also invite depth of understanding? The silence begs for us to listen, to embrace vulnerability not with shame, but with acceptance. Perhaps true guardianship exists not to shield from pain, but to cradle the raw beauty of existence. So, we stand at a crossroad, to protect or to reveal the nothingness that connects us all. Maybe the courage lies in acknowledging that the guardian may be a mirror, reflecting our collective anguish and joy. Sit with this haunting consideration. Recognize the intricate threads that unite us, resonating even in absence, and the void stares back. Chantom, the light that regretted shining. What if the very essence of illumination could harbor regret? In a universe where light possesses an identity, its brilliance might not be the triumph we assume. Rather, it could whisper of burdens unseen, a paradox of existence where brightness doesn't always equate to joy. The light that illuminated paths for wandering souls, once celebrated, now titters with silent remorse. What if I illuminate not just the way, but the shadows too? Brilliant in its purpose, light creates visions, illusions, truths. It spills over the edges of reality, crafting contours of existence. But here's the catch. With every spark that fosters clarity, darkness lurks close behind. Illuminated moments are marked by what they mask. Existentially, light enfolds the shadows, recalls phantom regrets. Maybe it understands that in revealing all, it also exposes the vulnerability of being. There lies a cosmic truth. Our perceptions are shaped as much by what is shown as by what remains hidden. In Plato's cave, the shadows dance, and yet we are entranced by their flicker. An echo of discomfort. Does the light not dread what remains unseen? It dazzles, yes, but at what cost? With every flicker, with every dawn, comes the awareness of the abyss cast beneath its glow. Light knows it cannot ignite without casting shadows. What if perhaps the arrogance of illumination is also its greatest regret? The light that shines does so not in blind ambition, but in quiet resignation, like the flickering star that has already burned bright, only to fade into the vast exile of the cosmos. Hailing from the depths of the cosmos, making cosmic echoes. To what end? The knowledge of what it has healed and hurt binds the light in a paradoxical embrace. It asks us, do we cherish the flame because of what it illuminates, or mourn the shadows it leaves? In that radiant exposure, every truth is cloaked in an illusion that weighs heavy. Light, your brilliant guide, yearns for freedom from the weight of truths unveiled. What if it could retract into itself, a selfless collapse to protect what remains shy and hidden? But to exist is to shine, and in shining, it becomes the architect of both healing and heartbreak. Sit with this duality. See how in its journey to bring warmth, light feels the edges of profundity, the regrets of existence, and perhaps, as it casts its gentle glow, it perpetually laments, did I reveal too much? The wolf who believed in angels. The wolf, a creature steeped in myth and fear, believed in angels. What irony lingers in this collision of primal instinct and celestial hope? The dance between predator and divine is not merely a mismatched identity. It's a question of faith lurking behind fierce jaws and dreary nights. The wolf, misunderstood, yearns for something more. But here's the twist. While the world cowers at the howl of despair, this creature found something sacred amidst the chaos. In its wild heart, hope pulsates, a belief that beneath the layers of night, a touch of divine breath exists. Wouldn't that fearsome howl become a prayer? What if the hunter, with bloodied fur, can also yearn for purity? In this cosmic framework of existence, wolves know survival. They fathom the weight of hunger, the steep cost of living. Yet still they peer into the darkness seeking the light. They gaze towards unknown spheres, soft and shimmering. Through this, they reveal an existential paradox. Do we not all believe in something greater than ourselves? Is it not the hunger for connection that binds us like howling winds under a canopy of stars? Maybe the grotesque beauty of the wolf is its authenticity. It does not merely consume, it questions the essence of the divine. What if its belief in angels stands as a testimony to our desperate inclination towards hope? As our desires for transcendence flicker, we might remember our ghosts too, the angels we hope exist. This wolf embodies our contradictory selves, the vulnerable amid raw power. Reflect. Every sharp tooth concealed a yearning not just for survival, but for salvation. What might the howl of this creature tell us about our own searches? Beneath the layers of our jagged edges lie threads of faith. Can the monstrous believe in the miraculous? Sit with the image of this wolf, howling at an empty sky. Feel the weight of its existence, the tension, the struggle, and perhaps, in its wild heart, find the resonance of your own unfulfilled yearnings. Chester, the sage who stopped speaking. The sage who stopped speaking became a deeper enigma than all the words he once wielded. What does silence whisper that language cannot? A paradox unfolds. Wisdom gained often exists in the letting go of expression. In his stillness, the sage uncovered truths that echoed louder than any proclamation. And yet, we find ourselves uneasy. Why does silence crave a voice? Here lies the crux. Maybe in the absence of rhetoric, the sage glimpsed the essential fragility of language, how it can fracture meaning. What if, in halting his words, he found a way to shatter the very illusion that he ever held power? In a world where narratives reign, silence paints a canvas layered in mystery. Conflict dwells in the void. The sage's stillness confronts our insistent need for clarity. What remains beneath our incessant dialogue? We often fret over meanings that slip like water through fingers, all while he stands unshaken in quiet. The act of ceasing to speak transforms the sage into the oracle of the unarticulated. What if everything significant lay beyond expression? With every unuttered thought lives a dynamic force, one that brings forward the questions that dance just beyond our grasp. The silence answers with presence, not with words. It spins a web encompassing greater depths than vocabulary can capture. Consider the resonance of quiet, how it burgeons in the absence of noise. The weight of unvoiced knowledge pregnant in the air stirs the essence. What if the need to silence oneself becomes a communion with the unspoken wisdom of the cosmos? The sage stands now as a monument to contemplation. Maybe the paradox is his greatest lesson. Could it be that in relinquishing words, he unlocks the truest expressions of being? Sit with silence. Let it douse you, wrap you in its calming embrace. The clock that told stories backwards. The clock that told stories backwards destabilized our understanding of time. What if time is not a straight line, but an intricate web, weaving tales of the past into futures yet unwritten? Each tick becomes a paradox, unraveling what we once considered a forward march, distilling it into shimmering threads that spiral backward, beckoning memory to guide us. And yet, here lies the disquiet. Can one unlearn time? The clock speaks the language of dreams and echoes, reminding us that events are remembered, not just lived. As it audaciously spins counter to the rhythm of life, we muster the question: what if our existence contains echoes of the past coiling into the essence of our being? In Western philosophy, time traditionally flows in one direction, into the unfathomable future. But this clock challenges the accepted creed. Perhaps, in turning back, we find not just reflection, but a reclamation. Each backward story whispers of potentialities unrealized, a tapestry of selves we might have been. Consider how the essence of memory shapes our identities. Every moment, past or flickering forward, melds into perception, forging pathways rich in nuance. What if we dared to embrace the idea that our stories are not confined to linearity? Each backward tick invites us to reimagine our past, a past that shapes our present, woven with infinite possibilities. This clock serves as a constant reminder that time is not merely a measure, it is a narrative yet to unfold. As the hands sweep backwards, we grasp. What lives behind is powerful, laced into our essence. As we contemplate the nature of time, dare to imagine what shapes your being, what stories lay cloaked in shadows. The clock propels you to relish the treasure of existence. Perhaps, as you listen to its tick, the question lingers: what if the past is merely the beginning of the journey toward what we can become? The river that refused to flow. The river that refused to flow embodies the paradox of stasis versus motion. What if our lives resemble that stubborn stream, stagnant beneath the illusion of progress? After all, it whispers of a choice, to remain caught in an endless cycle, imprisoned by the very banks that cradle it. And yet, nature's relentless rhythm beckons. Here lies the discomforting seed. Time, that unyielding current, demands our participation. The river, once a conduit of change, now stands as a monument to the fear of transformation. Is the refusal to ebb an act of defiance, or simply despair's embrace? In stillness, we confront the spectre of our own inertia. What if, in clinging to familiarity, we construct barriers against the flow of our own existence? But here's the catch. What if we are like that river, opting for the safety of stagnant waters over the treacherous rush downstream? Perhaps we retreat into the comfort of repetition, manufacturing a paralysis masked as a virtue. Consider this. Every still moment mirrors entropy, a decay of potential, yet untouched. The river once teemed with life, a tapestry of connection and possibility. By refusing to flow, it relinquishes its essence, a haunting echo of dreams unfulfilled. And yet, can stillness itself be a form of resistance, a counter-narrative to the ceaseless chase of societal expectation? As we ponder the river's defiance, we must also confront our own. How often do we find ourselves paralyzed by the weight of our choices, the fear of the unknown? The stillness echoes louder now, does it not? The truth lingers. Existence extends beyond the horizon of movement. There is beauty ensconced within the quietude, a contemplative void where meaning simmers. This silent rebellion speaks volumes, yet it also poses a disquieting question. Can we awaken the river within us? As we engage in this fluid dance, let us sit with the tension of both flowing and stillness. In hesitation lies the opportunity for introspection, the uncharted waters of self-discovery. In allowing ourselves to wade through uncertainty, we might yet carve a new path, a tributary leading to a confluence of experiences yet realized. What then awaits when the river chooses to flow once more? Could that transformation mirror our own awakening? The answers slumber beneath the surface, stirring gently, awaiting our call. And perhaps, in the profound stillness, we realize the ultimate truth. The river will flow when we choose to embrace change. The voice that never found a body. The voice that never found a body parallels our quest for identity amidst the void. Imagine a whisper, raw and resonant, echoing through the corridors of existence, unmoored, eternal. How curious it is that our voices often roam without ties, yearning for the bodies that give them form and weight. The unsettling seed invites us to question. Could our identity be a mere cacophony of unanchored thoughts? What if we drift through life, searching for the bodies that can articulate our essence, yet remain perpetually unheard? The voice, though vibrant and compelling, signifies a deeper paradox, the hunger for recognition tethered to an absence of ownership. But here's the catch. What if our strivings to be seen are the very chains that bind us? In this relentless hunt for acknowledgement, we risk becoming mere echoes of others' truths. How often do we perform, reciting rehearsed lines, while concealing the unique cadence that defines our soul? The voice cries out for liberation, yearning to express itself beyond the constraints placed upon it. Yet, as we unravel this intricate thread of longing, we must contend with the silence that accompanies a voice lost to the void. What if, in our frantic bid for connection, we overlook the necessity for solitude? For it is in the absence of sound that the self can be defined. The voice, yearning for a vessel, hangs suspended in mid-air, a haunting reminder of what it means to be human, fragmented and whole. As we traverse this silence, we encounter the essential paradox. The yearning to be heard cannot exist without the willingness to listen to our own inner dialogue. Here lies the tension, an unresolved loop encapsulating our existence. Can one exist in resonance without the echoes of another? As we ponder this, the weight of isolation comes crashing down, a visceral reminder that we are both speaker and audience in this condition of being. So let us sit with the intricacies of our own cacophony. Can we find solace in silence, creating space for the voice to resonate without expectation? The body may be absent, but the voice throbs with potential, for it wields the power to define itself in its own right. And what of the echoes that linger? Do they not prompt the ear to listen anew? The body that remembered dreams. The body that remembered dreams exists in a liminal space, a haunting tapestry woven from the fabric of forgotten nights. What if memory becomes the vessel that carries our buried aspirations? Can this corporeal form serve as both keeper and revealer, echoing the dreams that once flickered with vivid intensity? Consider this. Within every sinew lies a repository of aspirations stifled by time's relentless march. The discomforting truth wrinkles the fabric of reality. It is the body that holds the imprint of our most fervent desires, even as our minds drift into oblivion. The paradox deepens. While we forget, our bodies remember. They ache with the weight of dreams unfulfilled, echoing the whispers of a life once longed for. But here's the catch. Can the body, in its remembrance, articulate what the mind seeks to suppress? Picture the collision of past and present in this flesh. What if, instead of repression, the body holds the key to unlocking our yearnings? In stretching toward the blue of possibility, does it not echo the remnants of our aspirations? Herein lies the paradox. We are often more alive in our dreams than in our waking cycle. Yet, this awareness ignites an unsettling question. What if the dreams refuse to leave the realm of thought? As we grapple with this fractured reality, the need for embodiment becomes paramount. Are we resigned to mere shadows of our potential, silhouettes dancing upon the walls of time? The body becomes both an anchor and an encouragement, challenging us to reclaim our lost wants. As the echoes of foresight thrum beneath the skin, we sense their unrelenting call. Every phantom ache, every flicker of remembrance nudges us to step forth, to bridge the chasm between dream and reality. Can we allow our bodies to speak, to reclaim the forgotten, to release dragons silently contained? Therein lies the beauty, the abyss of potential yet realized. The body, a sacred temple, may hold answers we hardly dare to seek, and in the soft murmur of remembrance we find a pulse, a thread of connection. The pen that wrote silence. The pen that wrote silence holds a paradox of expression, a tool meant for articulation, instead serving as the harbinger of unspeakable truths. What if the act of writing reveals the boundaries of language, the limitations of articulation in the face of profound experiences? A dancer's pen moves across the vastness of paper, yet the ink simply retraces a void. In silence, we confront the essence of our existence, bound by the unsaid, the unformed. The uncomfortable seed lies here. Within the depths of silence, it becomes necessary to recognize that what we cannot say too often speaks louder than cries articulated in cacophony. But here's the catch. Can silence, rich and layered, become a poetic form in itself? In its depth rests not absence, but the pulse of something waiting to escape, the unspeakable yearning to be acknowledged. What if the inability to voice our profound thoughts only amplifies their importance? The pen, though it remains still, shimmers with the potential of the unuttered. And yet, the chasm of silence beckons us inward, illuminating our vulnerabilities hidden beneath constructed facades. Is it possible that in grappling with silence, we might construct new meanings, unveiling the poignancy of existence? The pen, at times heavy with the burden of truth, slips from our fingers. the echo of what we long to express hangs pitifully in the air. So, let us lean into this emptiness, finding refuge in our unwritten narratives. Can we discover strength in the act of surrender, allowing ourselves to unearth the emotions buried in the silence? Hidden beneath every word lies a universe craving expression, and the silence, thick and tangible, begs us to listen.